All right, let me make sure we're good. What is good, chat? All right, listen, we're not even gonna do intro today. All right, we gotta get right into it because today's episode we're about to be covering a whole lot. All right, first things first, put a one in the chat if y'all can hear me. Let me get my music on at least real quick. All right, so hey, listen, chat. For those of you guys in there that say, dude, your intros are too long, here's a show we're doing it specifically for you. No intros whatsoever. We're just going to dive right into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today, okay? And that is the abysmal shit show that goes on monetization called an interview between Candace Owens and Andrew Tate. Now, for you guys who don't already know, okay, listen, Andrew Tate, for some reason, he has a problem with self-snitching. I don't know why he thinks it's a good idea to be doing a lot of these media shows, but it seems to be digging himself a deeper hole. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, give the Romanian government the rope to hang you, I guess. But anyways, going back at it, he's been making his round through the conservative circles, all right? Proclaiming his innocence that, oh my goodness. Oh, that was the old me. All right, that was the old me. I'm a new guy, all right? They're just busting me for stealing TikTok's accounts, okay? That's all they're busting me for. The old me, the webcam, it has nothing to do with it, okay? They're just saying I force girls to do these things for stealing the TikTok's account. And I was just being nice to the girls, okay? I was giving them nice encouragement words so they can build their businesses. Why were I even in contact with these girls to begin with? I don't know. Why am I coaching them on TikTok? I don't know. What is your credentials, if anything, on TikTok? I don't know. All right. I just happen to be around these girls. All right. And you get the picture. He's distancing himself as much as he can from this entire just mess he's created for himself. Okay. So here's what's going on. He went initially on Patrick Bet-David's show, right? He went initially on Patrick Bet-David's show. I mean, here's the thing. I want y'all to understand as I explain this, okay? The difference between what Andrew Tate considers a sham matrix media and what he considers legitimate journalism, all right? Let's compare the two. So actually, the first couple interviews he's been doing, one was with Vice, all right? He kind of invited Vice TV or Vice News, whatever the hell they call themselves, I don't know, into his domain, and they got in there, and the dude started asking questions about Tate. Like, hey, bro, there's some serious allegations here, and even the charges, or not even charges, what they're accusing you of, right? They're saying these things. Could there be some merit to that, right? Andrew Tate flew off the handle. Oh my God, BBC, not BBC, Vice News. Vice News is fake news. Vice News is part of the Matrix. Vice News, they want us to suffer. That's what Vice News is. They want me to suffer because I'm telling you guys the truth. That's right. I'm waking y'all up. Y'all awake yet? I'm waking the young men up for today, right? So then that was gone. And then BBC came in, all right? And then, they come in and we're talking and whatnot, and they got brass tacks, right? Hey, what is this stuff you're saying on your website? What is this video you're about, right? What are these things you're saying about these girls and how you make money and all these things and that, right? And all of a sudden, oh my God! The BBC is fake media. Okay, they're running for the Matrix. They're running interference for them. They want to ruin me. The BBC is the sole reason why I'm in this mess. I mean, he didn't say that exactly, but the way he was talking about Vice News and BBC, you would almost think as though he's blaming them for his problems right now, even though he invited them. So you just like inviting problems, my nigga? Like, what are we doing? But anyways, that aside, you would think he would stop, right? Because every time he did those media rounds, it got bad for him. Nope, he didn't. Into the conservative space, starting with the conspiracy loon, who is increasingly making himself look more like a clown every day he stays on YouTube, Patrick Bet-David, all right? And guess what? One of the main questions, not even the main questions, I would say the first questions this dude was asking, how you feeling, huh? What was it like in jail? What was your emotions? Like asking all these questions. Why are they lying? What's going on? What is your philosophy? Right? So you can tell, like, real softball grabbing questions, I'm telling you, okay? Patrick and David's hands were just hanging off Buddy's nuts right there. You couldn't get him off if you tried, right? So then he went from Patrick, and then for some reason you got a bunch of other conservatives following suit, right? One of the most notable one, Tucker Carlson, and even after that interview, it practically destroyed what was left of his credibility, at least to the conservative space, because they're pretty much done with him. Or at least the main ones, the grifter ones, the ones who have gone like full right wing, super right wing, conspiracy nut. Those guys, right? They're the ones who are still with Andrew Tate. Some of the ones who are still with the regular, Republicans or regular conservatives. Okay, they're not with that. They're not with the Andrew Tate stuff because they actually see clarity. All right, and some of them are actually calling out some of these free speech pundits over here that are moving to YouTube. Anyways, Tucker Carlson, that really exposed a lot about Tate because a lot of videos came out about him on Twitter, and bye-bye to that credibility. And then it finally happened. We had a Candace Owens and Tate interview. Now, before I play this interview, guys, there's a reason why I had to really just start the stream the way I did, because it's going to be a really tough one, okay? So we're going to cover the first video of Candace Owens. We're going to, interviewing Tate, all right? But before that, I want to show you all the difference in how Candace Owens, rationalizes these things, right? And especially when she picks and chooses who to call deplorable or who to call menaces to society, right? Some of the people like Cardi B, right? Some of these black female rappers and artists who are pretty much kind of, if you think about it, doing the same hustle she's doing. I mean, their hustle is a little bit different, right? They're hustling using their bodies and sexualities and music to get fans and get money, while Candace Owens, she just uses what Republicans wanted to say to get, money and all these things. Now, obviously, Candace Owens is married, so is Cardi B. I mean, realistically, I couldn't see the difference. I just see one person putting on a dress, the other one don't mind taking it off. Listen. With all those criticisms she's been giving those people about how they're ruining society right now, right? You would think someone like Candace Owens would look at someone like Andrew Tate and knowing what's out there, because she presents herself as someone that likes to do the research and, all these things, to really stick it to the liberals, right? Really stick it to these these COVID mask on people, right? Because COVID is it's the new shindig for these guys. So you would think after calling those people out, she would go ahead and look at Andrew Tate and call him out, rightfully so, for what's doing, right? No, absolutely not. This was the biggest softball interview I have ever seen. That realistically, Candace Owens, you've lost all credibility to start calling yourself a reputable journalist, okay? You're actually far from that. You're what we call a hack, okay? And it's not a good thing, okay? Because, I mean, clearly Andrew Tate was a softball, and you ruined it. Like, you just sold it all out, okay? So, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. I know I kind of went, oh, we got a super chat. M-Dot, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. He says, first Patrick and David, then Tucker, then Candace. Who's next to get on the clout chasing train? You know what? That is an interesting question. Start looking around conservative media, okay? Look at some of the ones that are really trying to, make a name for themselves, right? It's got to be conservative media, but it's got to be on YouTube. Okay, because this shit would never fly mainstream. None of this crap would fly mainstream. So it's got to be conservative, but it's got to be on YouTube. And if you guys notice that a lot of these, so you got the conservative, right? But within the conservative space, you got the far right, right? And these are the guys that are really going in on this COVID and trans situation, right? And I find it very, very interesting that that's their main focus right now, where there's like very important things that are happening that could affect us. Think about it, right? We got this grain deal in Ukraine and Russia that just fell through, and food inflation is about to go insane. All right, we're not talking about that. We're just focused on. We're focused on getting Trump in office because he's going to do something about the trans, all right? Not about Biden's war. No. He's going to do something about the LGBTQ and the COVID and the lies and Like, where do you honestly want to go from here, guys? So shout out to you. Look for those conservative guys that are really on that far right grift, right? When they've splitting off and gotten on YouTube, right? And you'll see where that goes from there. Let's go ahead and pull this up, guys. Let me know if you can hear me. Well, not hear me, but hear the video. Right? Let's do this one right here. Oh, hang on. My bad, chat. Let's I'm trying to, where did this go? Hold up. My bad, chat. There was actually something I wanted to play first. But let's get into it.
To say something really awful about you.
There seems to be a pressure on everybody on all sides to say something awful about me. I kind of feel like I've been placed in a position where there's always someone attacking me new each day. But I guess I was built for it because it doesn't bother me like it should, perhaps.
You seem to be doing pretty well given the circumstances.
I know the truth in my heart, and I know that what I say is the truth, and I understand very well the internet and how it works. And I also think I'm perspicacious enough to understand there's certainly a degree of weaponized virtue and perhaps a degree of jealousy and perhaps a few other things are involved in all of these attacks. I don't believe that people who sit and attack somebody for their past, especially something from so long ago, are genuinely virtuous. I don't think it's about virtue. I think it's about, well, I can get some clicks this way, or I can get some views that way, or he did the biggest interview ever, or whatever it is. There's certainly some other motivations. And I don't want to say water off a duck's back. I don't want to come across as arrogant. However, I do believe that since the dawn of human time, every single king with any kind of empire was constantly at war. And I think if you're going to become one of the most famous people in the
we're barely 2 minutes into this conversation, and this egotistical tard, all right, is comparing themselves to some kind of king, bruh. You're in jail or under house arrest because there are charges against you for rape and trafficking. What are you talking about, dude? Like, it's like a thing of kings of old, okay? We always get attacked and persecuted. That's how this shit really works. Huh? No. It's a very real thing with real evidence against you. It's not people just throwing attacks out there. It's other people trying to seek justice for the injustice they felt as though you've caused them, all right? And there's legal evidence to prove otherwise. So I don't get this. But Be Too Cool, shout out to you for the $20 super chat. Be Too Cool says, yo, what's good, Brody? Shout out to Angela and I, LDTV. Are they in the chat? Shout out to y'all. Ladies, RT the brand, sorry. I just went in and hold up. Somebody said okay, I got it. I got the music. He says, he's like, I've been waiting for you to drop this heat. Oh, hey, don't hold back. Cooking Candace. Oh no, I'm not gonna hold back. But shout out to all the members in the chat. I appreciate y'all being here. Angela, LTTV, shout outs to you guys. But Be Too Cool, shout out to you for the super chat. We got another one. We got KD, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. He says, dude, did you see Sneeko get pressed on all the rumors on a channel named No Filter Zone? There's a part 1 and part 2. What? Oh, we're gonna have to add that to the roster. Chat, we could possibly be looking at a jam-packed week today. This week, right? We're looking at a jam-packed week. So this is crazy. I'm gonna have to check that out. What is the No Filter podcast? Let's check that out.
Internet, you're going to be at war, and you'd be a fool to become massively influential and then cry about the fact that you end up in constant battles. It doesn't matter if you're Napoleon or Charlemagne or Genghis Khan. There's always someone prodding the edges of your empire, trying to find weakness, see what little bit of land they can take. And I think it's always been the same. And right now, I guess you could say, to a degree, I certainly have an empire and I'm massively influential. And there's a degree of, I wouldn't say jealousy, but there's certainly some ambitious people who are trying to damage it. I think that's what it is.
So I did see a mashup clip that we're not going to show because I thought it was unfair. I will say that. Yeah. Only because there was no context provided to the clips. It was just.
What? So she's talking about Milk Bar's video, right? Milk Bar's video was the one that basically exposed this thing. And remember I told you guys in the monologue earlier, all right? That was the video after Tucker Carlson, because he went on to Tucker Carlson, told so much lies, it practically was indirectly self-snitching on himself, right? He didn't actually, because there's Andrew Tate self-snitching when he's just going out there and telling you what he's doing and has no qualms about it. And there's Andrew Tate indirectly self-snitching, meaning what he's not telling you, but when you compare it to what the evidence says, it starts to not add up, all right? So he's saying something else, which is not really telling you the full story, but if you look at the indictment record, it's all there, right? And the funny thing is, Candace Owens, all of it, she doesn't want to include that video. That's fine. That's fine. All right. It is what it is. It's mashed up and someone clipped it together. But how can you sit there with a straight face, Candace, and say it's out of context? No. All of that was within context, all right? Within context of what he's being indicted for, all right? You read the indictments, the trafficking, the grapes, all that different things, right? And then you compare to the shit that he's been saying before. It correlates. That's the context. I mean, to just sit there and say that, Candace, I mean, this is just so disingenuous coming from you.
An extract of something that you said that 10 years ago. Some of them were literally 10 years ago. Didn't know what year it was from, didn't know who you were talking to, didn't know what context it was. And I've been victimized online by something like that before, where somebody takes something abstract and says, well, this is what must be what she means, until they're provided the full context of the clip. And I also take exception to, I think, digging back 10 years. I don't know who could survive that litmus test. I'm 34 years old today. 10 years ago. Today, I speak to my audience. I talk about, they call me puritanical. I talk about, not drinking. I think the biggest change has been becoming a mother. And it would really be unfair if we went and found Candace at 24 years old, liberal, dancing at One Oak, and said, well, look at these clips of Candace Owens. Fortunately, I had no cameras in my face 10 years ago. You somehow did. So I think it's a bit unfair. I also think that some of the critique that is coming your way is coming from people who are well-intentioned, like they actually don't perceive, maybe perhaps, okay, this is 10 years ago, what the context is, has he changed since? So I will ask the question, and we are going to get into some of those clips. You said you're an open book. How have you transformed? And I've seen changes just, I think, in the last 5 years. Who are you today? How have you transformed?
That's a very good question. It's also very important when you talk about Candace.
I like how that's the first question out of Candace's mouth. All right, let's set the let's set the tone here, because that's what she's doing. She's setting the tone. All right, and the tone is, hey, let me just show that Andrew Tate. I'm speaking to Andrew Tate now as a changed man. Right now, as in 2023, as a changed man. So how have you transformed, Andrew Tate? Not knowing that, no, he was doing this up until like literally last year. Okay, what are you talking? Candace, what research have you been doing? How have you changed? This thing is not changing. All right, he literally got his charges upgraded to trafficking in continued form. All right, that means when they look at this dude's history, this is what he does. Okay, he is prolific, dude. That's it. So yo, like, this is getting incredibly disappointing, especially knowing the kind of, because y'all know the kind of like the earth-shattering bang Candace Owens came in when she joined forces with the Republicans, right? She was, I was bullied, and I had this awakening from the left, and then because the left are all bullies and they're not inclusive and they're all liars, and the media always lies in caps for their boy, right? So I'm gonna join this ship over here where everybody still lies in caps for their boy. It's just that these guys are better able to tolerate with my bullshit. That's essentially what it is, right? Like, honestly, bro. This is like, we're only 3 minutes in. Guys, I told you, I'm not lying. This is going to be a big one.
Candace from 10 years ago. The idea that you did something 10 years ago, which you would no longer agree with, is one thing. But the second thing, to come along to the conclusion that you now have no value to add to the world would be massively unfair, right? Everybody changes, and that's fine. I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit and apologize for his past. I believe all's well that ends well. I believe we're humans and we grow and we learn. I'd be a fool and I'd be disingenuous to sit here and pretend I was sorry for something I did in the past. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be.
So he's not sorry. Okay. How have you changed? He's essentially saying I haven't changed. I'm not apologizing, and it is what it is. What do we do? Whoa! Like, even when she tries to set the tone, hey, how have you changed? Which I find it interesting, first ever question to ask anybody. But then you turn around and then say, I'm not sorry. Sorry, but not sorry. He is not changing. Like, what are we doing, Candace? That was a terrible softball, and I hope she challenges this answer.
Be very honest to everyone at home. I've talked at length for a very long time about my history and the fact I used to run a webcam business, and I don't feel guilty for that. I know that's maybe what they want from me. I don't feel sorry for that. I've never hurt anybody. It has nothing to do with my current criminal case. Everybody who worked for me was very positive. In fact, my number one supporter is currently online, and my best lifelong friends and some of the letters I got in jail were from people who worked for me at that time. And I had a business, and I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that I feel guilty or I feel sorry for that. I'm from a low-income background. I did what I had to do to survive. And truthfully, all in all, being very honest.
You're from Luton. Okay, Luton. I kind of checked around, bro. And yeah, I don't think it's as bad as you're saying it is. I'm just going to be real with you, bro. I don't think you can even call it the worst part of the UK, right? There are way worse parts. Like, Like, hell, nigga, people grew up in Chicago. Like, y'all looting people will not survive one day. Nah, y'all won't even survive a night in Chicago. Are you totally talking about, my guy? Y'all don't even have guns legal there. What are y'all walking around with? Fucking pencils and shit trying to shake each other? What are we talking about? Bruh, stop. Again, I can't stand. This is a part of the brainwashing, by the way. Andrew Tate is so good at setting an image, right? He knows how to present himself so well. It's like, I don't know what the hell you call it at this point, right? So he wants to let you know that the rags to riches story, all right? This is what hooks a lot of these young men in, because a lot of them right now, they're broke. They're desperate, all right, and they feel as though they don't have enough opportunities. So in comes a bozo like this, tells them exactly what they want to hear, and just rips off motivational shit that is already out there, all right? It's not anything profound. He's not saying anything new. He's just ripping it off and then repackaging it. And then you got these disenfranchised boys are saying, yeah, he saved my life. I'm so good, bro. Nah, bro, let's just stop it. Looting ain't nothing. All right, some of the kids that grew up in Chicago out here, it's not that fucking like some of these places in LA, bro. They like, damn, bro. Listen, I can't stand this stuff. I just can't.
I don't think what I did was really that bad, and I want to say that. And I know people are going to lose their minds for it, but I didn't sell drugs. I didn't kill anybody. I mean, what did I do? I found a gap in the market, and I helped some people organize some accounts on an internet website. That's what I did. And they're going to try and criticize me and crucify me for the next 100 years because of clips that were made 10 years ago. I think it's disingenuous, and I don't think anyone actually really cares about the virtue of it, because nobody who was involved in my life back then is complaining about anything. I think it's just an attack on me. And certainly we learn and we grow and we change, but it's very interesting how hypocritical the idea of looking at somebody's life over such a long period actually is. I mean, we can look at Donald Trump, right, who I'm a fan of. I guess I know you've had your ups and downs with him, but in the conservative sphere, he's pretty well respected. Donald Trump used to own the Miss Universe pageant. Are we going to criticize him? Are we going to crucify him? What about the girls he had in Miss Universe who decided to go on and do Playboy magazine? Is he a bad person now? Why?
What are you talking about? They did criticize Trump when he ran for elections. All that shit came up. What do you think grab him by the P meant came from? Yeah, he got his fair lashes too. People look back and said, "Hey, bro, this shit you were doing with these women is kind of sick." Now, some of them weren't like they were not all the allegations were true. Like I don't know, maybe the Stormy Daniels one was true, but something happened with that where she's paying him money now. I didn't follow it too much. Maybe it did happen, but she went against her NDA or whatever it is, and then she had to pay Trump. But listen, he got his lashings too. He's still getting his lashings. Okay, so I don't get what's going on here.
That's not Christian values, right? People are messy, and life is messy, and nothing is completely clean. And this idea that you're going to find somebody, and 10 or 11 years ago, they did something which might even be slightly distasteful, not even illegal, and you're going to crucify him forever. I just don't believe that's genuine virtue. I think it's just an attack.
I do think what's happening right now is they are wrongly conflating you having run a webcam business, however long it was ago, to the criminal cases happening in Romania. And this is why I interjected in my voice when people were saying, he's not a conservative, he's not a Christian. I don't understand why Christians are giving him a platform.
And I'm very sorry to interrupt. You. But yeah, I will say right now, I would never consider myself a conservative from that standpoint.
Right.
I'm a rational actor. I'm a reasonable person. I'm intelligent. I use my brain. And I guess that makes me align with many conservative issues overall, because the other side have lost their minds. I don't wake up and stand there as a conservative figure. I don't consider
more manipulation, right? This is how the right is doing this stuff now, right? I'm the side. We're on the side of logic. We're on the side of using our brains and common sense, while the other side, they're just losing their minds, right? You see how extreme these guys are painting the picture right now. You're either on the side of good or there's evil. This is like cult-like brainwashing. And yes, Andrew Tate is not the only one to be using these tactics. A lot of people, even Candace Owens, they're all guilty of this shit. Y'all need to start paying attention to how they do it. Because listen, anybody who supports this guy and you're on the right, you're a moron. You understand? All right. If you support this guy, okay, and you're on the right, on his side, you're a moron, because it shows that you just guzzle whatever propaganda gets shoved down your throat because you don't do any research. Any rational person that does research would perk up and say, yeah, that guy's weird. That's it. M. Dot, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. M. Dot says, on one hand, Candace will condemn Steven Crowder based on one video, but makes excuses for Tate despite all the evidence. How did you beat me to it? God damn it, M. Dot. Shout out to you. How did you beat me to it? Because I was going to play exactly that, right? I was going to play exactly that. Where did that video go? There it is, right here, right? This is the video where, off of one video that Steven Crowder's ex-wife sent to her, which I think is dirty business to get into people's divorce, Candace. All right. Some people could say that about you. It's dirty business to do that. Right. But I'm just saying, his ex-wife sent you a tape based off of one tape. All right. You painted Steven as a monster based off of one tape. Okay. And then here comes Andrew Tate. Here comes Andrew Tate, who has numerous videos, not only of him admitting to these things, but also of him not feeling sorry for the men he took advantage of, men and women he took advantage of, right? There are numerous videos, yet you somehow can't find the evidence. So Steven Crowder's a monster off of one video, but there are literally numerous videos on Andrew Tate being a trafficker, and there's no evidence. He's innocent. It's the Matrix. Ha! It's funny how that works. And this is the party of people that likes to use their brain, right? This is the conservative guys that like to use their brains, right? Listen, if you start going into one of these teams, you already lost. Okay, these political teams are just a way to capture your mind and get you thinking which way. Because listen, human beings, when we get in a big group, we're idiots. Okay, we start to form groupthink and then we follow the crowd. Oh, it's my sports team, or I want him to win, right? No one's rational anymore. So if I were you, I'd just think for yourself and stay away from these groups. They're dangerous and they want your money. Shout out to we got another one, Antonio Winchon. Shout out to you. Welcome to the show. He said, "Yo, Duke, they let Coach Red Pill out, and he is now crossing the Russian border to escape his 5 to 8 year sentence. He just did a live stream right now." Oh, well, congratulations. I'm glad he's out. Listen, bro, if you're in a place where you're not allowed to talk about the information about the war going on and it's a media blackout, you got to be careful. I don't think Coach Red Pill was careful, but now going to Russia. Listen, if he was going to talk the talk he was talking, he should have went to Russia to begin with. I don't know why he was in Ukraine. Like, they're gonna sit there and let you just say these things, but nevertheless, I'm not saying he deserved what he got, because that was horrible. You don't just jail people. See, listen, it's one of these. Listen, these Eastern European countries, they will jail you for your free speech. Okay, that there's a guy, Coach Red Pill, who's actually jailed for telling his voice, right, the truth, right, whatever was like what was going on the ground floor, and people didn't want to hear it. All right, and they jailed him. They literally walked up to his apartment and they took him out. All right, and no one heard a thing. It was like complete media blackout. This guy, Andrew Tate, all right, they go get him for the shit that he actually does and says on the internet, and then he goes on a media tour, all right, and then he says the Matrix is after him, which I find interesting as hell, because there's a real brother y'all got to be checking out. But the Great Pill, shout out to you for the $2 super chat. He says, salute to the chat and panel. Shout out to you. Salute to you as well.
I consider myself a conservative figure. I've just ended up aligning with them on a lot of core issues because I'm a forward-thinking, rational person. But I'm certainly not a conservative. I don't stand up and say, hey, I'm a conservative. I'm not interested in whether the conservative want to embrace me from that perspective or not. I have no interest in that. I wasn't even particularly political until my recent debacle, where I realized a lot of things about the world and how avoiding politics will not save you, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's one of the things I pointed out. I said, he's never said he was conservative. Why are we? He is not identifying as a Christian. So why are we suddenly using that as whether or not a Christian, a conservative, can put him on a platform and talk about something that is relevant? And something that is relevant is whether or not you are being wrongly or unfairly persecuted by a government. Yeah. I have spoken on my platform after examining the charges against Harvey Weinstein. He's clearly not a conservative. He's about as far left as it really gets. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that I don't have an interest in whether or not he's guilty or not guilty, and whether or not he was persecuted because of a overtly political movement like Me Too.
No. Harvey Weinstein is definitely guilty. He's most definitely guilty. What are you talking about, Candace? Now you're acting stupid. What Harvey Weinstein did in Hollywood was an open secret. Everyone knew what the fuck he was doing. Matter of fact, it was a thing for you. If you wanted to get a role in Hollywood, you got to go see Weinstein. You see what I'm saying? That's what it was. So it wasn't secret. He was out there bragging about it because he thought he was invincible at that time. Fast forward, it's a new day, and some of the women were like, hey, this should happen to me, and I don't feel so good about it now. And then what else happened? Now he went to jail. Andrew Tate is very similar. Back in the day, he was going around bragging about him trafficking girls, right? Because he thought he was king of the world. Fast forward to the future, some of these girls said, yeah, I didn't like what he did to me. All right, I don't like that now. And guess what? you're in jail. At least you're under house arrest awaiting your sentences. So actually, it seems as though that Andrew Tate and Harvey Weinstein are heading towards a similar trajectory. All right. So listen, if you want to know what the future of Andrew Tate is, look at Harvey Weinstein. All right. Pretty soon, we're probably going to see Andrew Tate walking in a cane. Like, what are we talking about? Candace Owens, like, she's doing so much fluff for him right now while pretending to be neutral. It's not even funny. Francois Guru, shout out to you for the $10 super chat. He says, damn, we got a Nick Fuentes fanboy in the chat right now. Yeah, unfortunately, the Nick Fuentes, the Andrew Tate kind of rhetoric tends to attract the Nick Fuentes, because if you notice, anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish sentiments are growing right now, especially amongst the red pill. It is not looking good. Guys, I'm telling you right now, a lot of these guys really don't like Jews, bro, and it's getting kind of weird. To be honest with you, it's getting kind of weird, because we know the last time when an entire society was convinced that Jews were a problem, and we don't want to repeat that. And right now, there are a lot of things that are just not adding up. So yeah, Andrew, that's why Andrew Tate, guys like him, all of them, they got to be criticized, because when the more they spew this conspiracy bullshit, which is not based in facts, right? What ends up happening is these guys tend to start gravitating towards the more extreme ends. And the worst part about it is they're not even being informed. They're just grabbing shit and thinking they're smarter than you. It's weird. Dev, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. Dev says, how did Pierce did a better job at holding this maniac to task, using a trafficker to own the libs, I guess. Facts. And you know, they try to clown Pierce Morgan for it. Oh, Pierce Morgan got owned. Pierce Morgan get owned. Meanwhile, it was just Andrew Tate sitting on the back saying, I didn't do that. That was my website. I'm not a trafficker. You can't call me that. It's like Andrew Tate was just on the backboard the entire time. So it's funny. When you do good, at least decent, or even decent journalism, it's like, so that's saying a lot, right? But even decent, like, journalism right now with Andrew Tate is equivalent to you spreading false rumors to promote the Matrix and get him in trouble. It's so interesting.
So I do not like that these things are being conflated, but I want to park that aside, because we are going to get into your case, and just stick with what you just said about the webcam business. So you say you don't have any guilt for it.
I'm not sorry. I don't operate in that frame. I don't think it's an intelligent way for a man to go through life to say, I'm sorry. At a younger age, I did the best I could possibly do, and I did the best I believed at the time. And you grow from it and you learn. And perhaps there's times in your life where you look back and think, well, maybe I would have done this differently, because hindsight's always 20/20. But every rapper sold drugs. Like, you get to a certain stage in your career where you no longer sell drugs and you don't do it anymore, but that's part of the life journey, and life's messy. And I'm not going to sit here and apologize to any conservative who wants to sit me down and try and give me some moral high ground garbage. I'm not going to listen to it. I had a very rough upbringing, a very tough life, and it could have been so much worse in so many ways. I've done nothing illegal. I've never hurt anybody. Everybody who was involved in my life back then are massive supporters of me. And I think it's very hypocritical for someone to sit, look at a situation they were not involved in and don't understand, look at old clips taken out of context, and then tell me and a whole bunch of people who were in my life who were all perfectly happy that something bad happened or something wrong happened. I don't think that's genuine. And for that reason, I'm not going to sit and be preached to by these people who are imperfect themselves. Everybody's imperfect. And another thing that's really important, we talk about Christian values. I also think that I find it very interesting and ironic that I'm somehow the problem, and that these Christians feel like they need to come and attack me now in the name of Christian values. I think Christianity has much bigger problems than Andrew Tate and some old clips. I think they have much bigger problems that are happening in their churches on a daily. I think you can go to a Christian church in a lot of America and be very disappointed in what you've seen. I don't think I'm the problem with Christianity. And
no. To be fair, what he just said, he's got a point there, right? Because religion ain't what it used to be back in the day. I mean, everyone's educated and things like that. Case in point, I grew up Catholic, and it's not like I wouldn't say I'm not Catholic. I just don't go to church anymore. I more listen to science. Okay, so society's growing, things like that. So he's not wrong there. But where he is wrong is that, bruh, they're comparing your value structures to the people who are interviewing you's value structures, because those people who are interviewing you are supposed to represent their value structures. Meaning, if Candace Owens is supposed to be a Christian, if some of these guys who are interviewing are supposed to be Christians, they have audiences, a lot of them who are Christians, all right? And those ones who are smart, that are looking at you and looking at your lifestyle, they're judging accurately by saying you don't represent that. So it's a fair criticism. They're not even actually criticizing you. They're criticizing the people who are interviewing you by hosting you and giving you these flip pieces, aka Candace Owens. She got flamed. Candace Owens got backlash, and she actually did a response video, which we're gonna react to because it's hilarious. All right. Well, some of y'all think y'all could just tell me who to interview or not to interview. What? It's like, y'all gonna see in a second, right? So they're criticizing them for platforming you. They don't really care about you, because if anything, they want you to drop off. Because if they're interviewing you, that means they're platforming someone that doesn't represent them. So now they have to question the interviewers like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, why they even platformed you to begin with. But of course, if they stop platforming you, that means no more clout. There's no more avenues for you to spread your message. So that's gonna be a problem for you, and whatever relevant ways you're still gonna make money, right? So it's ridiculous that he's twisting these things up. Okay, like listen, you're right. Christian churches, yeah, but are they right about their values though, compared to yours and how you live your life? Yeah. Listen, one of the biggest Bible tenets is repentance. Right? Repentance. You just sat up there and said you're not going to change. You're not sorry. It's just like, how do you expect you're already telling them right there, you don't represent that. What the fuck, bro? Jesus.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But there was a webcam company, and I've talked about it at length on many different podcasts. I had a business. Many girls on there were perfectly fully clothed and would paint pictures or sing and dance and laugh. I've talked about this at length. I've had nothing to do with it for 10 or 11 years, and nobody was ever hurt. And I'm not sorry for it. I don't see why I should be.
Okay. You don't.
So the way that I read you, and you can definitely let me know if I'm wrong, obviously, because you are you, is that people that don't come from a lot, me and you, obviously, obviously have different decisions that lay before us in life than people that come from everything, or people that come from a very stable household, two loving parents. And this kind of gets into the dilemma. I remember years ago, Tommy Lahren had said something. She's a political commentator in the US, had said something to the effect of, well, Jay-Z used to sell crack. And he sort of laughed.
And he probably did.
And he did. And he sort of laughed this off. And I remember looking at that because I looked up to Jay-Z's music so much, and I looked up to him because it made it possible for me to change my circumstances. So you're looking at this guy who comes from nothing. He came from the projects. He sold drugs, and then he doesn't have to sell drugs anymore. And he's now talking about ideas and talking about business. So I was able to more
think about what she's saying, guys. Think about what she's saying, guys. She's saying that somebody told her that Jay-Z back in the day sold crack, right? She didn't even bother doing the research. Somebody just told her. Meanwhile, right now, with Andrew Tate, there's numerous evidence that he's a trafficker. A, the indictment, and B, Andrew Tate himself. He's been telling you that. But yet, you're feeling different about that? Make it make sense. Make it make sense, Candace. Where are you going with this?
Closely understand and go, okay, I can actually climb out of these circumstances, even though I wasn't born, with a ton of wealth and a lot of opportunities that some people were. And I think it's very difficult for people that don't come from nothing to understand that, and they're so sure that if they were in desperate circumstances that they would still never do anything.
But this is their massive mistake. And you're right, but this is their massive mistake. The reason I have such huge affinity with the youth of the world today, especially the masculine youth, is one, because a lot of them are disenfranchised, which is one conversation. But two, also the reason my reach is so global.
Where is he looking at? What is he looking at, bro? What is the camera? What? There's obviously no camera there, because they would show an angle from that position he's looking at. So what is he? Why is he staring off to the corner? What is going on? Y'all notice that, or is that me? He's just like staring off in space every time he's answering a question. I don't get it, bro. He looks haunted. I would like, bro, this nigga looks haunted. He looks like he's not in a good place right now.
The reason I have so many fans in Slovenia and Southside Chicago, and I've had kids from Ulaanbaatar come up to me, Mongolia, all around the world, is because I speak to the disenfranchised, and part of that is always going to be, or is going to involve, financially disenfranchised. I'm someone who comes from absolutely nothing and made himself into something. And unfortunately, there's a rocky road sometimes, like you just described with Jay-Z, to get that done. But if I would have been born into a perfect family, like you said, two loving parents, family was rich, white picket fence, and I was saying all the same things, then they wouldn't have the same affinity. So if you look at even a lot of superheroes, you look at Batman, he's a flawed person. And I think the reason I'm seen as a hero and the reason I have the fan base I have is because, to a degree,
he's comparing himself to Batman and being a hero. Jesus Christ, this guy's ego is like the size of Jupiter. I don't know what to say, bro. He's comparing himself to Batman. Listen, I don't care what you say, bro. You will never be Bruce Wayne. Okay? You're not him. You're not him. You will never be Bruce Wayne, all right? That's the only person that can be Batman, and he does it perfectly. You're an imitator of cheap knockoff. You see what I'm saying? Like bro, where's your Batmobile, bro? Huh? Hey, Batman. Hey, where's that Batmobile? Oh, is it the Bugatti, or where's that? Is that with the authorities right now? Bruce Wayne never got in trouble for trafficking. Bruce Wayne never got his cars taken away from him by the government. Oh, what are you talking about? You're not him. Stop it, bro. Get some help, dog.
I've always been a flawed person, and I'm not a perfect human, and I don't want to be. And I think that actually adds a lot of credibility to my character as a whole, that I've become the kind of person who believes he can add value to the world. And just like you said with Jay-Z, he changed. And the biggest thing for me personally, though, truthfully, and I want the whole world to understand this, I've been forensically analyzed by multiple different federal agencies from different countries for the last 17 months, analyzing every aspect of my entire life across the last 10 to 15 years. And what did they find? An old YouTube clip? That's the worst they could find. No sexual perversion, no drugs.
What? You're gonna just boil it all down to old YouTube clips? That's not true, my guy. They got hard drives. They got phone records. They got DMs. They're leaking them right now. You're just sitting there lying. So I wonder if a well-researched journalist like Candace Owens, do you think she's going to ask a follow-up, right? Because she's done her research, right? You would think she would ask a proper follow-up and say, well, how do you think? Well, it's got to be more on the lines. Well, Andrew, you said that they found in some YouTube videos, but they found 15 houses connected to you. They seized money in Bitcoin connected to webcam operation. What's going on there? I mean, it's obviously more than just a few clips on YouTube, right? Do you think Candace Owens would ask something similar to that, right? Let's find out.
No genuine criminal acts. They found something semi-immoral in a YouTube clip. And I would actually challenge anybody who wants to throw stones at me to go through the same level of scrutiny I have been under. And let's see what they find in your life. Because I guarantee anyone who's watching this right now, you sit there, you have a secret in your closet. You have a skeleton that you don't want anyone to know about, and they would have found it. So
yeah, we all got skeletons. But I can guarantee you this, mine don't include trafficking or any abhorrent things. All right. Maybe I've stolen things. Maybe I've lied. Maybe I've cheated. Right. I'm a human being. All right. That happens. A lot of people have shit in their past, but the vast majority of people, they're not trafficking women. All right. They're not being accused of rape. All right. They're not who are actually guilty of it. Probably, we don't know yet. We'll see what happens, right? Most people aren't walking around with that kind of shit in their closet, right? Let's just be honest about that. It's people who are, either get themselves involved in something or have something mentally wrong up here that have shit that are really serious. They're like murdering somebody or graping somebody or trafficking somebody. You understand what I'm saying? Like this guy, I'll take that challenge. I'll take that challenge right now. I'm throwing stones, bro. As a matter of fact, let me pick up this boulder, right? I take that challenge. Look through my entire life, bro. You're not going to find any of this heinous shit. You're a fucking sick dude.
What's the worst thing that they found about me, considering I've been the most attacked man in the world for 17 months? An out-of-date YouTube clip? An out-of-context YouTube clip? Is that the worst? I think it's crazy that people aren't even sitting there and going, okay, this guy's been absolutely attacked. And from every single angle, this is the worst they could possibly drag up.
Right. So I agree with you. So the question I would ask you, though, and because obviously you've moved away from that business, the thing I find to be the most interesting about you is that younger boys love you.
Yes.
They absolutely, like the 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old. I have not come across a 12, 13-year-old boy who's not just an Andrew Tate stan. Yeah. And I think it's remarkable. It gives you a lot of power. And I think this is perhaps the interest that a lot of people have in you is, what are you going to do with this power, right? You have all these boys, they believe in you, they stand up for you. And that is why it becomes important to state, I'm not sorry that I lived this. I don't think I would say that I'm sorry for anything decisions that I made when I was young either, because this is the deck of hands that I was given. What do you want me to do? Yeah. But at the same time, I do try to, now knowing that I have such a following of a lot of young ladies that follow me, say like, listen, I did the idiot stuff, so you don't have to.
Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And that's the thing that's so interesting. He's out of date.
First of all, that was a terrible follow-up question. The follow-up question to him just blatantly lying about the only thing the Romanian government found after months of investigating this guy are shit off of YouTube clips. You're not even going to question that. Okay, let's pivot into the question of, oh, hey, you got a lot of fan bases of little 13-year-old, 12-year-old boys, huh? And your messages definitely don't apologize and regret nothing, and live and let live. If you do something bad, oh well, let's just keep going. Yeah, you're definitely fostering a very, very entitled culture that's going to breed a bunch of evil little narcissists, especially if they're starting at 12 and 13 years old. What are you going to do with all that power? Can you bring it over to the Conservative Party? We could sure use those votes. That's what I like to imagine what's going through Candace Owens' head as she's asking this ridiculous question. All right, so now we're talking about power and things like that. Listen, bro, Tony Robbins, some of these other guys who are out there that are motivating people. Look at Mr. Beast. Okay, he has I would say next to you, he has the largest following of young men who are following him, right? Men and women, but you got a lot of kids who are around that age group following him. Look at PewDiePie, right? Look at guys like what's that guy's name? SQC, right? He just signed a massive deal, bro. I mean, he's got a lot of those fan bases. All right, look at Dion. All right, look at all the. I'm just listing them off, bro. These are all people that have way more influences over these young men than you. All right, and collectively they do. Matter of fact, that's why you have to keep collabing with the Logan Pauls and the Jake Pauls and all these guys, because you're actually leeching off of them more than anything else. Fuck, like, what are you talking about here? Okay, so you're sitting there saying that listen, they have that following. And they're not in your position right now, right? They're not. They're motivating a lot of young men out there. Matter of fact, they're a bunch of Mr. Beast is inspiring a lot of people to start their channel and do their little lookalike gift giving shit, right? And some of it's kind of tacky, all right, but you get the drift, right? That's inspiration right there, right? You, Andrew Tate, are just repackaging shit. That's it. You're just repackaging quotes and sayings and motivational stuff while mixing conspiracy in it. All right, so. Coming from where a lot of these guys are coming from, I guess it makes sense. But don't sit there and act like you dude. Let me, I was about to say something. Let me get into it before I go off.
Clips, and they want to talk about these things from 10 years ago. At the time when I was talking to camera, those videos are made for private circulation initially. Secondly, I wasn't trying to educate the world on anything back then. I didn't have the kind of power and influence I have back then. The way you say something to a video which has 50 viewers has to be different than the way you say something to a video that's 50 million viewers. Mm-hmm. Power and responsibility absolutely go together, and I understand that very well, and I understand the power I have. And I do believe I'm now an absolute force for good in the world, and I'm far more careful with how I'll project myself with certain ideas. Absolutely agree, completely. But that's the thing that's even so crazy about all of it. These old videos everyone's so concerned about wouldn't even circulate if my haters weren't constantly trying to use them against me. They'd be...
No, they wouldn't circulate if you didn't go on Tucker Carlson. Sorry. Like, let's just be real. I mean, actually, they still would, but they wouldn't be brought up to the level they've been brought up to. So it's your fault. Just take accountability for once in your life, Tate. Can you do that for us?
Disappeared into the history of the internet. I don't know where these things come from. I don't know where they were found. I don't know where they are. It's kind of crazy. A lot of people are making all these constant attacks on me, and I don't watch a lot of it. I'll to be honest with you, Candace. I don't watch all of it, but a lot of the videos are so outdated. The only reason they even exist now is because my haters are so desperate trying to take me down. They don't have any concern for them being seen because they wouldn't be circulating them otherwise. So yeah, absolutely. Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And I do believe
you made those videos though. You made those videos, marketed those videos with the intention for it to circulate. You're just mad that enough people criticized it and it got big enough to the point where it starts hurting you. Like, realistically, it starts hurting your livelihood. But at the end of the day, it's you in those videos saying what you said. Am I high? I might be high, bro. I don't know. I mean, like, what's going on here? Like, you don't make a course PhD. You don't put it on a website. You don't then go on media circuits marketing that PhD website for people to not see what it is going on, for it to not spread. So yes, I guess you're right. People are circulating that shit, but realistically, it started with you. You said it.
That I now have a huge platform, and with young boys, they're exceptionally interested in my case. I do believe to a degree I'm an anti-hero. I do believe to a degree that the harder I'm attacked, the more credibility is given to me in the eyes of my fans.
How does that work?
See, everyone's out to get this guy. Everyone was out to get Batman. This kind of feels that way. And I do try and lead everyone down.
Look at this dweeb. Look at this fucking dweeb, bro. You fucking nerd, bro. You fucking nerd, dog. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Did he literally just come out there and say that? Yeah, the more they attack me with the facts, the more credible I look to my fans. You know how he always has to specify his fans? The reason why he has to do that because his fans are the only ones that are brainwashed and indoctrinated to his bullshit. That's why he has to specify that. Yo, so my fans, right, no matter how many lies that come out about me, my fans are not going to believe it because they're stupid. And trust me, I know. I spent a lot of time working on these clowns. You want to bet? Okay, I can just go out there and say I trafficked a bunch of girls, and these guys can watch the videos and still not believe it. Yeah, how about that? That's literally what he's saying, bro. This is crazy.
down a good path and say extremely positive things. And I don't think anybody is finding any clips from the last 5 to 6 years which have anything negative in them.
Right. I think you've changed. That's why I say over the last 5 years, I think there's been a seismic shift. And speaking to boys, the younger boys, I think one of the things that they're really suffering from, I get tons of responses rather unexpectedly whenever I talk about the topic of pornography on my show. And it's one of those things that, again, if you found Candace 10 years ago and you asked me about pornography, and by the way, this was actually implanted into my head from a health school, like from health education, where they would say pornography is healthy, people should watch pornography, people should engage in pornography, it's okay if you're in a relationship for you to watch pornography. And then I had a huge wake-up call when I spoke to Tim Ballard. He runs Operation Underground, and then I realized how closely pornography is related to human sex trafficking.
Real sex trafficking, not TikTok accounts.
Whoa,
yeah, we should.
Whoa! This did not just happen in front of my face. What? Yo, she just got done explaining exactly what Andrew Tate was doing. That's why you had to specify real sex trafficking, not TikTok account. Hey, Candace, you got to separate me from that real quick. Hold on, I got to rewind that. That shit was hilarious, bro. It's like these guys are not self-aware at all. They're like literally brainless.
Pornography. And by the way, this was actually implanted into my head from a health state. There's been a seismic shift. And speaking to boys, the younger boys, I think one of the things that they're really suffering from, I get tons of responses rather unexpectedly whenever I talk about the topic of pornography on my show. And it's one of those things that, again, if you found Candace 10 years ago and you asked me about pornography, and by the way, this was actually implanted into my head from a health school, like from health education, where they would say pornography is healthy, people should watch pornography, people should engage in pornography, it's okay if you're in a relationship for you to watch pornography. And then I had a huge wake-up call when I spoke to Tim Ballard. He runs Operation Underground, and then I realized how closely pornography is related to human sex trafficking.
Oh, kind of like OnlyFans, right? Kind of like webcamming, right? Because it's pornography at the end of the day. Matter of fact, it's what we call interactive pornography, okay? So, yes, and you see how closely that is to human trafficking. It's like these guys are just, it's almost like they're so, I don't know if they're, listen, I think my brain is breaking. My brain is breaking. Hold on, chat. I don't have the bandwidth for this. Holy shit. I feel like it's almost as if they're either stupid and they're unwillingly being honest while being stupid, or more devious, they actually know what the fuck they're doing, but they're just covering up. And with someone like Candace Owens, I'm actually thinking of the latter, right? I'm thinking she probably knows about this shit, but she's being ignorant, because let's just be real. This video alone literally is doing he just did 2.5 million views in 2 days, right? So, I mean, if that's not a big motivator, I don't know what the hell it is, right? And if you go look right now, guys, go to Candace Owens' channel. This is the most viewed video Candace Owens has ever had in the past year and a half. I shit you not. Check it out. You wanna talk about what her motives are? I think it's sinister. I think this chick knows what she's doing. I think she knows, because she just explained. Oh yeah, pornography. Yeah, it's closely linked to human trafficking. Look who you're talking to. Look who you're talking to. He ran the business with 17 houses. Why do I keep saying 17? The other dude was caught up with his own house, right? But he was caught with what, 15 houses, right? That were connected to him. They're finding more, God. They're finding more. Listen, what they can say is at least 7 of those houses were connected bona fide to Tate. Other ones they're still being looked at. But this guy's done. Those chat. It's like.
Real sex trafficking, not TikTok
sex
accounts.
Trafficking. And yeah, we should talk about that, because they are kind of stretching the definition of sex trafficking in your case. I've taken a look at it. And what's remarkable to me is the amount of young men, and I would say from the ages of 18 to 35, that write in and say how much they're struggling with porn, how much they're struggling with pornography addiction, how they feel that no person is talking about the ills of pornography. And so I just watched this clip of you this morning, sitting next to Adam 22.
You were ever interested in doing your first ever double penetration scene that me and Lena, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like,
dude,
would he be a suitable candidate? Can I tap him in?
I don't know. No.
Can I fill in real quick? Andrew,
you're out. Aiden, we can't. You're not in this conversation anymore.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Andrew. Would you Andrew, would you double penetrate her, bro? Would you do that, Andrew? Go ahead. Finish the answer.
If all pop together, is that chill?
There's absolutely 0% chance of that happening. And it's not because Elena is particularly unattractive. It's because she's married to Adam, and I have no interest in degenerate, pointless sex, and I have no interest in making a spectacle of myself, or even just involving myself in anything which I deem to be overall haram and pointless.
Not interested in making a spectacle of himself, right? Is that what this guy just said? What do you think you're going through right now? You're a fucking spectacle, and you made that out of yourself.
It's just not something I'd be interested in. There's not a single amount of money on the planet you could pay me to undertake. So
you were very polite. I'm not going to be so polite. I thought he was an absolute degenerate.
Wow!
And I mean that the idea of having a woman making the vows that you make in marriage and literally offering her body as he did to you was a form of degeneracy. And he would be
wow, Candace, really? Yo, so Adam participating in cuck behavior, all right, is a degenerate behavior compared to the guy who there are videos of him beating up women. And they could classify that as what do you call it, bondage or whatever it is, right? BDSM, right? They classified it as BDSM, and they're a community of people who like to live their lifestyle, just like there are a community of people that like to live the lifestyle of letting other dudes bang their wives. It's actually more abundant than you actually think. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna stitch on myself. We're not doing that. But still, it's more abundant than you think, because there are a lot of people, dog. There are a lot of people that, listen, they don't mind. I've been in situations where, like, they're literally either boyfriends that'll let you hit their girl, or like sometimes these dudes are married, bro, and it's a weird situation. Y'all go to my old video. I explained that story. Like, it was weird, but there are people out there that will just sit there and let you, do their wives. That's just is what it is. Some of them don't want to be in the room. Some of them are in the room. It is what it is. It's a lifestyle, just like BDSM, what he's known to live, right? There are women that came out and said that's the kind of stuff they do. So Candace, in your book, that's deplorable, but him doing what he's doing is not. It's okay. It's good values. Like, what exactly is your Christian values here? what exactly what lifestyle are you living by right now? Just answer the question.
Being very nice and measured. And I think that for that moment, that was the best thing that you possibly could have done, because she looked quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
Lena, I think is her name.
Yeah.
But how do you reconcile that now, right? You're in a circumstance like this. You're being polite. You did say I'm uncomfortable. You did say that I would never do this. And I think that was really important for you to say. But you're not the same person. I mean, how did you?
Yeah.
Even reflecting on it.
Yeah.
It's so disgusting. He offered you his wife.
It is pretty disgusting. And it's also pretty misogynistic, because he didn't ask her. He
No.
offered her. I felt sorry for her, so I was very measured with my conversation with them, because I felt sorry for her. I could tell she was nervous. She was swinging on the chair back and forth. She didn't want to be there. She felt extremely nervous. And I think that only a coward would berate a very nervous, very scared woman, even if she did something which I personally disagree with. Even if
she was only nervous because she didn't know what you were going to say to that, right? Because realistically, honestly, I think that would have been a yes, because Adam has already proven that he's going to do it for clout. He doesn't care, right? And his wife is willing to participate for clout, right? What would be the biggest draw right now, right, in their world, that to see someone like you do someone like Adam 22's wife? That's going to get a lot of views, okay? And realistically, she was probably like, she would have probably done it. If you would have said yes, right? Let's just be real. If Andrew Tate would have said yes, it would have been done. It would have been a done deal, right? So she was probably scared of what he was going to say. I don't know. I don't like how Candace Owens is trying to paint this like Lena's some vulnerable woman. Like, I've heard her talk. Like, trust me, she's not vulnerable. She can speak her mind. And Adam, lets her. That's just their relationship. This is weird that they're just trying to coddle her. This is weird. Brother Jumpy, shout you for the super chat. He says he thinking about all the Romanian nasty Nates out for his Boosie wallet. The leather Cheerio gonna get pelvis punch. He shook. Facts. Shane, shout out to him for the $2 super chat. He says Minister Farrakhan is influential, not Andrew Tate. Facts. There are real people out there that are really influential. And it sucks that a lot of people follow this guy. But here's the thing. The reason why they follow this guy, because Andrew Tate is very good at crafting this image. And on top of that, when you have the money factor and the beautiful women, know fully well, a lot of these guys out here, they're not getting the same success with money and women as he is, right? And he's preaching the same repackaged motivational shit that he's telling you guys. It's easy for young men to fall in that trap, especially when you include the conspiracy, us versus them mentality. And you got a cult follow. Andrew Tate is really good at that, right? It just is what it is. So yeah, unfortunately, even though we have all these influential people out there like Mr. Farrakhan and all these other guys, right? Listen, and someone like Andrew Tate, you come out swinging like that, you're probably gonna get the attention of the desperate. That's just it. Fresh Walker Roll, shout out to for the $2 super chat. It says Bruce Rivers stop self snitching. Facts. I think whoever's lawyer Andrew Tate hired, whoever you are, you need to get fired, and he needs to hire Bruce Rivers, because the first thing Bruce Rivers, I guarantee you, is gonna do, he's gonna shut that shit down. Hey, no more Candace Owens interviews, no more Patrick McDavid, no more Tucker Carlson. You stay your ass inside and let me do my job. Shout out to you. P2 Cool again with the $5 super chat. He says Andrew Tate and Candace Owens both reek of hypocrisy and dishonesty. Fact. And that's exactly what we're pointing out here. Like the little tactics that Candace Owens is using, and how she's trying to like basically make Andrew Tate out to be this, you know, I'm just asking questions, but you could be innocent. This is just maybe a big unfair attack on you because you're speaking some kind of truth. Huh? Listen, just because y'all align politically don't mean y'all should align morally. And this guy is morally bankrupt.
I think Adam is personally, he doesn't align with my morals, because she was so nervous and because she was so almost afraid she looked. And I think she expected me to go at her hard. So I just felt sorry doing it. I just couldn't find, maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but I think she knows what I think, and I think she knows what the world thinks. And I think if I go at her too hard, it's just going to break her. And I don't really like the idea of her, you know, turning off the camera and bawling her eyes out. I think that God will teach her the lessons she needs to learn from her experience, both positive and negative. And I think that's God's job to do, and not necessarily mine. But yeah, it was certainly uncomfortable, and it shows how degenerate the world is becoming. And pornography as a whole is simply just, I think it's an effect. I think it's a tool which is used to ensure that the male populace stays as docile as possible. I don't think that any of the things that are happening to the male population are accidental. I think that keeping us as docile as possible is very interesting for the people who are in charge of the world, because we're the warrior class. At the end of the day, it's going to boil down to the men who are going to stand up and actually do something about anything at some point in time. So I think they like the idea of us being docile. And I mean, how much more docile can you get than a man sitting there looking at a screen, not even want to reproduce for real because he's just staring at a screen? And I think that's just a next stage in the slave mind.
And it's
You ran 7 houses, and they're uncovering more houses, right, that are connected to your ring. That all they did was show women on screens that men were talking to. Matter of fact, didn't you say at one point in your video the women weren't even talking to the men? It was you and your boys behind the scenes, right? So you over here messaging these dudes who are horny, you're messaging them back, going back and forth while you're staring at a girl that ain't even knowing they exist, bruh. This guy, Candace, this is very disappointing.
everywhere now. Whereas, and this is something that my husband says, he doesn't have any social media. He's like, Instagram is pornography. I open my Instagram and I've got Emily Ratajkowski's butt cheeks.
Yeah.
And I'm not a man, so I don't have that same biological reaction to seeing it. But I can only imagine how difficult it is for a man when you open an app and you've got Kim Kardashian offering her body to Emily Ratajkowski. Even if you're walking down the street, I've realized even how desensitized I've become to pornography, because you see an ad for Gucci and for whatever reason, she's got to be completely naked while she's holding the bag.
I remember in my lifetime, there were music videos that got censored or banned or can only be played after 10 or 11 at night. And if you watch them now, you'd be like, what? For what? What is that? A bikini? Like, it's nothing. It's amazing how quickly it has degenerated. And yeah.
You helped in that. And yeah, go figure. Sex sells.
Absolutely.
And we're all degenerating with it. Like, I've realized the fact that I don't have a reaction to seeing the half-naked woman holding a Gucci bag means that I have been desensitized to pornography. And I can only imagine what that does to men.
Oh, completely. And but this is what the powers that be want. They want to make sure that the male populace is as docile as possible. And they do that with a large array of weapons. And they do that with a web of tools. And I believe that I'm the counter to that, which is the reason I ended up.
No, you are exactly one of the tools they're using to do that. For 10 years, you ran a company that basically fried the minds of a bunch of men out there. You contributed to this problem. So if anything, you're the perfect agent for the Matrix, right? Come in here with the poison and then bump them over the head, pretending to sell the antidote while you're fleecing them. All right, we heard about your fucking war room scams where you're sitting there paying $5,000 to get in, but these guys are just in a glorified Discord chat. Oops, I'm sorry. A website that basically copied the UI of Discord. Y'all didn't even invent your own shit, which I find interesting. Y'all just ripped y'all just probably cloned the site. That's probably what they did. There's nothing original, bro. Like, oh god, you're not a counter to anything. You're the exact kind of tool the Matrix needs in their arsenal. Matter of fact, this kind of distraction for a lot of these young men is perfect. It's a perfect tool, right? While young men are focused on you, Andrew Tate, and you're a little cold, they won't be able to be focused on the real issues affecting their lives, right? The real economic problems. They're not going to focus on why their lives aren't actually getting better. No. As long as they're focused on you and free Tate and all that bullshit, all right, they're never going to grow. You're contributing to the problem. You're the Matrix perfect weapon.
attacked in the first place. But unfortunately, when you buy into the slave mind programming, you not become the kind of man who can easily attract a woman because you're not attractive to females as a whole. So how do you satisfy yourself? You end up sitting there staring at a screen and they convince you that's a good life to live as a man and that's perfectly fine, perfectly normal. And you don't even get to genetically reproduce. I do also, though, and I want to make this clear, I do believe in absolute and utter self-accountability as a man. I think as a man, everything that happens to you is your fault. Me going to jail was my fault. Me being attacked online was my fault. If all these bad things that happened to me, I will take responsibility for, even if I believe they were unfair or unjust. And I think that any man who's going to sit there and say, I'm struggling, he also needs to wake up and understand that if you're going to truly struggle to not click on a website, then you're going to deserve the terrible life you're going to live. And the devil or the matrix or whatever you want to call them are going to fill your life with temptations. They're going to fill your life with easy way outs that they're going to want you to take because the good road is usually the hardest road. And they're going
to like pimping girls online isn't the easy way out. Anyway, I mean, that's how you became a millionaire, right? You even admitted that on multiple videos. If I was Candace, I mean, these are natural follow-up questions, especially seeing how she reacted to other people, right? You would just say, hey, listen, I would say, hustling women is kind of easy because sex is an easy thing to sell, right? It's harder actually coming up with something, right? It's harder actually coming up with real talent or real shit that actually benefits society. No. It's easy to just present a bunch of women. No. Manipulate a bunch of women, then present them in front of a bunch of men who have problems. Okay, that's what you're doing. That seems very cheap, easy, and a dirty way to go ahead and make your millions. And realistically, you did it. All right. And what would you consider next to that? Oh, drug dealing. Oh, you did that too. That's an easy way to get rich, right? So you're talking about all this nonsense like you actually worked hard. You took the easy way out. That's it. Matter of fact, it was so easy for you. You started a course called the PhD to teach other guys to do it. And you made it even easier for them. Like, what are we doing here?
Going to continue to fall for them, then you're going to have to suffer the consequences of that. So it's double-edged. It's certainly difficult that pornography is everywhere and men are struggling with it. But to me, what's even more upsetting is that these men don't have enough fortitude and enough mental strength to wake up and say, I'm better than that. But this is the thing, right? So I'm about to get started, Candace.
Good, get started.
This is the thing. But this is the thing, right? So when you attack a man's mental fortitude on one issue, you attack on all issues. This is why it's done purposefully. To resist a slave mind, you need to be able to resist in the first place. How can you resist a slave mind if you have no physicality, you have no willpower, no ability to mentally resist anything? Well, then what you're going to end up doing, you're going to end up eating the bugs and watching the porn and sitting in front of your computer. And that's what they want from people. So I think that it's actually all very interconnected. People come at me with the porn problem and I get the same thing. Guys say to me all the time, hey, what are you going to do? What should I do? I struggle with pornography. And I say, that's because you have nothing else in your life in order. If you were in good physical condition and you had the money you were supposed to have and you had the mentality you were supposed to have, you wouldn't need it. So the reason you're so addicted to porn is because everything else in your life is a failure. And yeah, it's certainly a complicated issue. It's a difficult one. And this is why they fear male agency so much, because when men truly wake up and decide to be the best versions of themselves, they're hard to control because all these control mechanisms fall by the wayside. They don't want the porn anymore. They don't want the antidepressants anymore. They don't want the garbage anymore. And
you're right. Society is waking up. That's why one of the control mechanisms, aka you, is being locked up right now because they're saying you're dangerous and you need to go. So while as men are waking up, people like you are going away. And I find it ironic that as you're going away, men are waking up. Isn't that a dandy thing? Especially conservatives now. Some of them they're actually waking up and realizing, yeah, I don't know. Actually, if you go on Twitter, there's a bunch of Muslims, like the younger generation, that are coming out and saying, yeah, guys, listen, we shouldn't be supporting this guy because we feel as though in the future, people are going to start equating us to women hating weirdos. We don't want Islam to be compared to that. All right. He's not Islam. So we don't want you to start grifting Islam. No, I'm not kidding. There are a bunch of real Muslims out there that are actually concerned because people are now just joining Islam as a grift, not because of the actual religion itself. And they're worried that this cheapens their movement, right? Or not their movement, their religion. So I just find it interesting that all this stuff is happening right now. Bitsuko, shout out to you for the super chat. He says, I pray and hope Candace got more backlash for this interview than Tucker Carlson did for this bullshit. No, she's not. Hey, listen, her backlash is growing now. People are actually flying her up. She actually just dropped the video trying to explain why she did the interview with Andrew Tate. And when they do an interview or when they do a follow-up video where they're trying to explain the interview, that usually means the backlash is starting to get to them, right? Because it's true. You can't call yourself a Christian and platform a sadist. Like it's just weird.
You have a whole bunch of men who actually want truth and honor and respect, and they want to live for something. And then what are they going to live for? They're going to want to be brave. They're going to want to do the right thing, regardless of how dangerous it may be for their own personal circumstance. And that sounds like a difficult population to enslave. I mean, that's what's scary.
So how do you reconcile? First off, how long ago was your webcam business?
Yeah, so I stopped having any involvement with it. I think 8 to 9 years ago, I stopped. It was a long time ago. It was at the early stages of the internet. And I'll explain it one more time for people. I've explained it already at length, but I'll explain it from the beginning.
You probably should.
I had a company. I was fighting at the time. And on a side note, I actually want to make this clear. We talk about things people have done in the past for money. I beat people up for money. I hurt people for money. I don't often tell people this, and I think it's the first interview I've mentioned it in. There's a person who can never walk the same again because he fought me. I've had 87 professional fights, and I did my best to kill people. You're going to sit here and talk about what I did for money. I literally hurt people for money. And
yeah, so does Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence. By the way, that was a great fight. Listen, you're not the only one hurting people for money. Floyd Money Mayweather, he hurts people for money and he gets paid. But you know what he doesn't hurt people for money by doing, right? He doesn't traffic women. All right, at least not that we know. I don't know these people. All right, so who knows what comes out in their closet, right? I'm just saying he's not known for that. Yeah, he could beat people up and want to hurt them in the ring, okay? But they're not known for hurting women by trafficking them. All right, why are you even bringing that up? Are you trying to make the point that see? I'm not as Christian as people say make me out to be because I was a violent man back then. Yeah, of course. So it's like a bunch of other people, and it's sanctioned. It's a sanctioned thing. I mean, what are you talking about? Like Porsche 911 fan. Damn, it's been a minute since you've been around here. Shout out to you. He says, "Yo, what is up?" There's a video exposing how Andrew rates girls when we're punished. It's sick. Can someone link that or drop the link in the chat? Mods, look out for the link. If you see it, promote the link. I want to see that video. That'd be interesting to add to this.
And so I'm not a perfect person. I'm not sorry for my kickboxing career or my cage fights. I'm sorry for anybody. I had bare knuckle fights. I'm sorry for any of them, right? I was a person who had to pay the bills. I lived the life I lived. I used the tools I had. And I ended up opening a webcam company where girls would sit on a laptop and they would talk to guys on the internet for money. That's what they would do. The girls would sit there fully clothed or a bikini. Some of them would paint pictures. Some of them would sing songs. It's very similar to Twitch is now. Twitch is almost more sexual than the sexual websites were back then. I helped the girls set up accounts. We worked together. I helped them become as popular as possible. And everybody made money and everybody was happy. And nobody is complaining about it. Nobody's upset about it. None of the girls who work for me are upset about it. The government aren't after me for it. It's perfectly legal. Nothing's wrong with it. There's just a whole bunch of people who now think that they can take the moral high ground against me because I previously ran this company. And I think I can anticipate the question you're going to ask. How do I reconcile with the fact that I used to produce pornography or degree pornographic content?
Now men are writing to you like, how do I?
And now men are trying to escape it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. There's a few different ways I can answer that question. I think the first way I'll answer it is,
where is he staring off to? What is he look? What's over there, champ? What are we looking at, though? Like, what is he? Like, honestly, Jack, I'm actually getting distracted. I'm like, what is over there? Are you scared to look a woman in the eye? Like, what is this? I mean, you didn't do that way with Patrick and David. You were like real. You were really dead set of making eye contact, right, though? So why is it with Candace Owens all of a sudden you just something's over here? Hey, what's up? Yeah, we over here. What do you look? That's actually starting to bother me, bro. I'm like, make eye contact with her. What's wrong with you, bro? Why are you scared to make eye contact with women? Is that why you wear shades indoors? You don't want women looking at you in the eye? Does that make you feel some kind of way? does that hurt your little ego when a woman looks you in the eye? Why can't you do this? Like, this is getting frustrating. Does anybody? I'm sorry. I know I'm nitpicking. Maybe I'm nitpicking, guys. Put a 1 in the chat, or if you think I'm nitpicking, or put a 2 if you think I'm onto something. Because I don't know where he's staring at. It's starting to weird me out, bro. Like, where? Candace is over here. Why are you looking over here?
If you own a liquor store and an alcoholic comes in and you refuse to sell him alcohol, does he stop being an alcoholic?
No.
He just goes and buys from someone else. So that's the cop-out answer. The cop-out is, well, these people who are addicted are always going to be addicted regardless of whether I did it or not. So that's the cop-out answer. But the second answer I can give, which I think is more detailed and probably more nuanced, is one, I intimately understand the relationship between men and these websites. I've had and seen men give away their life savings to girls they've never met. I've watched and I've seen it. And I actually think a lot of the insights I give, a lot of the things I tell the world about the male mental health crisis, about men being so constantly lonely, about how important it is to build yourself into a high value man, about how money alone is not enough. I explain all these things. A lot of these are lessons from the webcam days. I saw dudes who had a whole bunch of money, no other attributes, and they ended up on these websites spending hundreds of thousands of dollars because they didn't have anything else. So I think I learned a lot of important life lessons, and I do my best to try and pass them on to people. But I guess also, and this is the final answer I want to give about this whole subject, is that I do think I can take the question you're asking and reverse engineer it and use it against the people who are trying to attack me for it. My answer to it would be, how do you sit and want to criticize me for being involved in the production of pornography 10 or 11 years ago if you're involved in the consumption of it? Because you're
the guy dishing it out. You delivered the drugs so people buy it. What are you talking about? So now you're putting it on them. Like, hey, what? Listen, why did you? Listen, I could say the same thing about you. Why did you watch these girls that I had on my webcam, huh? Even though I had the business and I put them in front of your face, and I tried to use marketing ways like TikToks and things like that to put it out in your face. Why did you guys have an appetite for it? What is this, bro? What is this, chat? Like, what is going on?
You're creating a market for it. So anybody who wants to sit and say that I did things wrong, that's fine. You're allowed to throw stones. But if you're in a glass house, if you have ever signed up to an OnlyFans account, if you have Instagram, if you're following these models on Instagram who you don't know, who are showing their tits and ass all day, if you've watched porn, if you fancy or think some beautiful woman on a movie, if you're going to live in lust yourself, and you're funding this entire industry, you're downstream, you're at the bottom of it. How can you then take the moral high ground on the person who's producing it?
Because that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about your actual indictments. Okay, it's not you're making all of this about a video. All right, it's not about a video or multiple videos that you've done in the past. They're using those videos, but it's not about those videos. It's about the hard drives. It's about the DMs, the girls that came forward, the DMs they found of the girls that escaped. Right, the embassy reports, the police raids. It's about all of that. Even the indictment report that accuses you of raping a woman. It's about that. It's not you're trivializing it to make it seem about a bunch of people are getting all worked up over immoral things you said online. That's not it, and you know damn well it's not it. You see how good he is at crafting an image at all times. You see how he said, "I'm going to reverse engineer it." Or here's another good one, right? And this is a really good charismatic tactic, right? Anticipate the question you think somebody else is going to ask, okay, before they ask it. And we don't even know if Candace Owens was even thinking that because she had numerous opportunities to ask you legitimate follow-up questions, and she didn't take it. We're 30 minutes into this video right now. She hasn't taken any opportunity to ask you any legitimate question. The reason why he anticipated asking her that question is so he can control the answer. That's it. That's all it is. And you saw him do that perfectly well. He broke it down into 3 different scenarios, and then the end scenario was a reversal and flipped it on you. You see how easy it is? Listen, you're not talking to average people out here, bro. There are real people out here that can see through your bullshit. All right, listen, I've been around so many people, it's not even funny. People start to, especially certain behaviors when they do something, they start acting patterns, okay? We're creatures of patterns. That's what it is. If you observe enough people, you start to notice certain things, right? Just like any dude out there who's dating a crazy girl, all right? If you've dated a series of crazy girls, the next one you meet, you're probably going to notice the red flags immediately. Vice versa with women, all right? He can deal with enough crazy dudes before you know it, and they come to you with that, oh, I love you, baby, all that sweet, crazy shit right out front, like with the pressure. You already know the red flags, okay? So listen, what is this? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you just let me anticipate, flip it, and answer it, and then flip it on you. You're fucking crazy, dude.
Doesn't make sense to me. So if you've totally abstained from pornography your entire life and you've never looked at it ever, and you've never been involved with it ever, and you're a perfect person and you want to come along and say what I did was wrong, that's fine. But I don't think most people who are complaining can even say that. I don't think they can. And I will once again state this, and I state this as a matter of almost fact. The level of investigation I've gone under, the level of forensic investigation my life has been submitted to, most people don't understand. Most people have never been through what I've been through. They've not had their entire life forensically analyzed, every word they've ever said, everyone they've ever spoken to, every WhatsApp chat, everything, head to toe by federal agencies for the last 10 years. And the most they come up with,
because most people aren't being accused of trafficking. That's why.
Is that I ran a webcam company, which I've already admitted to. That's it. Take these people who criticize me and see how many porn websites they've been on. Get their laptops. See the they've Googled. See who they've spoken to. Like, it's all massively hypocritical. I do understand that some people would hear that and go, oh, he's a bad person, etc. I don't think I was a bad person. I never hurt anybody. I think I could have done much worse things. I know many people from my circumstances who did many things worse than what I did. And all in all, I'm not going to sit and pretend I'm sorry for something I'm not sorry for. And I just want to make it clear to the world that, like you said, people come from different backgrounds and people grow and people change, etc. But I also look at the world in a different way. I think that we're all constantly doing our best. I think I'm doing the best I can right now. When I'm 55, I might watch this interview and think I'm an idiot. Right?
Wow. Really? How old is he right now? When you're 55, you seem old enough to know it right now that you're sounding like a pretty fucking idiot. Like, are you kidding me? You gotta wait till you're 55, bro. No, you sound like an idiot right now. Matter of fact, your very behavior, being on a show, all right, on the media, broadcasting to millions of people, talking about cases that you shouldn't be talking about because You're not even on trial yet. It's pretty stupid. So I hope after you get sentenced, all right, and you're in prison, you can look back and probably say, "Hi, you know what? I wasn't sorry for most things, but I probably shouldn't have done those interviews. It hurt me." Yeah. Trial's coming up. A lot of things that are gonna be exposed are gonna be exposed. This right here, what you're doing with Candace, right? Never mind the lies you're telling right now. I think it's the lies that are gonna make you look bad. It's the lies that are gonna do you in, bro. So you're going to regret this. You're going to regret Tucker. You're going to regret Patrick McDavid. You're going to regret all these different things you're doing ever since you got busted because you're lying through your damn teeth. And listen, what you're doing right now is you're building yourself up to be this ginormous Goliath, okay? What essentially is going to happen is once the evidence comes out in court, and everything gets broken down because they have everything. Assume they have your entire personal life at this point. I'm assuming, no, they do have your entire personal life at this point. All right. Once that evidence is made known, people are going to go back to these interviews. They're going to see how much you lied to them. You're going to see how much you tried to deceive them, the games you played to try to make yourself look good, to play the media game, right? And they're going to hate you even more. And as time progresses and the older you get, you're just going to be synonymous with the dare I say it, like an Epstein kind of figure. I'm not even going to lie, bro. It's going to turn out that way. I would say within the next 15 years, you're going to be synonymous with Epstein. Like just you know, who's that? Yeah, the guy that had those islands, you know, had the kids and Bill Gates was on his plane. Who's Tate? Yo, the guy that was on social media, the Red Pill dude, but then trafficked a bunch of women. Yeah. Like this guy has no idea the kind of mistakes he's making.
And I think we're all constantly doing our best. And I did the best I could do at the time. And I don't think it makes sense for me to hate past me for doing his best. I just don't think that's a very constructive mindset.
Living a healthy lifestyle can be challenging when you're always on the go. You need simple.
Especially if conservatives want to win the culture war, then they need to lead by example. If you're gonna be a conservative preacher and you want to tell men about how they should live their lives, you should be as strong as possible. You should look in shape. You should be big. You should show you're motivated. You're disciplined. You should absolutely, of course, we all have vices, but you should be very disciplined with your outlook. You should make it very clear to the outside world that what you've done wrong, what you haven't done wrong. You should take accountability. I think you need to lead by example. I don't think you can preach to men. I don't think you can preach to young boys. I think that's the reason why they don't do so well in school in general. I don't think that's the reason why they're disenfranchised. I think you need to just lead by example and let them follow. And I feel like I'm kind of doing that by just standing up and saying, no, this is who I am and I'm unapologetic for it. And this is what I've done. And this is what I intend on doing. And I'm going to try and save the world.
You can't save the world if you're not even going back to be apologetic about the pain you cause. You're basically saying, yeah, I'm gonna spit in your face. And so what? What are you going to do? I'm not sorry about it, but hey, you should worship me because I'm being persecuted right now. What are you're saving the world? Get your head out of your fucking ass, bro. Like, you're not saving shit. You're going to prison. That's what's happening. You could save somebody there in prison. I don't know. Like you can save something else. We don't know. But you're going to prison. You're saving the world. You sound crazy.
So I want to shift gears here and talk about your dad. I'm quite fascinated by your dad. He passed recently.
Yeah.
How many years ago?
9 years.
9 years ago. Yeah. But wow, just wasn't what I was expecting. A chess champ, served the country. His name was Emery.
Yeah.
Really interesting to talk about just, I guess, your upbringing with him as this chess champ. How did he get into chess?
Yeah, I do believe I had the best father on the planet. A lot of the things I regurgitate are regurgitated from him. A lot of the things I say, he literally said to me line for line. I believe that he was very morbid in his approach to life. And he wanted me to understand that he will not be here forever. And he wanted me to understand that when he was gone, I had a duty to fulfill. He talked about dying a lot, which I guess is kind of unusual, but he would, even though he was relatively young. He died when he was 58. But he was a chess professional. He was a professional chess player. He was one of the best chess players in the world. And what's most interesting about him is he almost predicted the future absolutely and utterly perfectly. He was talking about the Ukraine-Russia war back in 2013, and he was talking about how gay people can't have children, so they're going to come for your children. Trust me, that's what they're going to do. The children are next. Like, he'd say all these things back like 10 or 11.
Your dad didn't predict shit, all right? Listen, when Russia went after Crimea, when NATO back in, was it 2000? I forgot what year it is, right? When they announced that Ukraine could possibly join NATO, the moment that came out, like everybody knew that Russia's going to go to war. everybody immediately knew that Russia was going to go to war. It was only a matter of time. That's not predicting the future, bro. There are analysts that are predicting that not predicting that. They're saying that right now. The matter of fact, the Rand report already broke that shit down a long time ago. We already had a contingency for doing this, exactly what we're doing now. And guess what the Rand report said was a result of what's happening? Exactly what's happening right now. Okay, there are people who are literally paid to just do this. All right, it's not predicting anything. It's just probabilities at this point.
11 years ago, and I'd be like, all right, Dad, you're a bit crazy, calm down. But I guess when you're a chess player, you see the future. And he raised me with absolute accountability, and he certainly raised me and Tristan to be, he understood what the world expects of men, and he raised us to be strong. And even when we were in jail, my mother would call, I'd speak to her on the phone, and she'd say, how are you doing? And I'd say, oh, don't worry. And she would say, yeah, Dad raised you for this. Like, we were always raised to be warriors. So I don't think I could have possibly ever had a better father. I'm going to miss him forever. And I think the best thing I can do is be the best version of myself to give honor and respect to him. And I think that's the best thing.
Where did he pick up chess? It's quite unusual. He's American.
Like if your dad is half the man you're saying you are, he'd be rolling in his grave right now, knowing that his boy is being booked for the sleazy shit. Let's just be honest, right? Your dad is in the CIA, his son's a pimp. I'd be if I was your dad, I'd be like, God damn, son, I'm pretty fucking disappointed. He's probably hovering over you right now, telling you that. You don't even know. You don't even know, talking about God this, God that. Dude, you're listen, if your dad is what you're saying he is, he'd be disgusted. He'd be disgusted. Just like if I had a son and I'm doing all this, and then it turns out he ends up becoming a trafficker, and there's evidence to prove that, I'd be pretty pissed off. Like, bro, go to jail. You need to learn your lesson. I didn't raise you like that, right? Like especially my mom would do that to me. Matter of fact, there was several times where I've been in trouble, and she'll come in and say, yeah, make sure he gets the maximum punishment. I'm like, what, Mom? What the fuck? My mom was like that, bro. Like, this is how it is, right? So there are other parents who are like that too, because those parents care, all right? Like, Jesus Christ. And guess what? I didn't turn out to be that way, so my mom was proud. But you, listen, if your dad taught you all of that, and at the end of the day, you turned out to be a good-for-nothing two-bit pimp who's about to do 13 years in prison, your dad would be heartbroken. And honestly, if he didn't have he'd have probably had a stroke. If he didn't die then, he'd probably die now. Just seeing you go through the shit that you're going through. Like, listen, the kind of embarrassment you'd be putting him through, he'd probably die. Just seeing that. Like, just being honest. Like if we're going to be real, be real. If I were to get into this, some kind of trouble, the same level of trouble that you're getting into right now, it'll kill my mother. I know that. It'll hurt her. It'd be very disappointing. He's sitting there talking about my dad. Yeah, I'm so proud of him. He'd be disappointed. Hey, knock, knock. Papa's disappointed.
He was American.
Yeah.
Black American. I don't know too many Black American chess players, full stop.
Yeah.
Where did he pick up chess?
He taught himself. And he just read a couple books. I think he read 3 chess books and ended up being one of the best players in the world. And
incredible.
It's incredible. But it's actually interesting when you talk about, we were just discussing affinity and how people are imperfect people and how it allows you to actually teach things better. My father, towards the end of his chess career especially, made most of his money teaching chess in inner city schools because he's a big Black guy. Mm-hmm. So the children would be like, okay, I'll listen to this man. You're right. So it's amazing how affinity is real and coming from a certain socioeconomic background is real. And, we all talk about how ridiculous racism is, but also to a degree, pattern recognition is real. I look like him. I can be like him. These things are real. So yeah, he did fantastically well in terms of teaching, especially disadvantaged children. And he taught himself. And I wish I had his mind. I'm not nearly as intelligent as he was. I wish I was.
Be real smart to be a good chess player.
You've got to be better than smart. I actually think you go beyond the realm of smart into.
Notice he doesn't go into too much detail about personal interactions he had with his father, right? And if you actually do your research, Andrew Tate and his dad. Not Andrew Tate and his dad. Andrew Tate's dad and his mom, they split up. His mom took them to Luton, where they were majorly raised, right? Make that make sense. He barely saw his dad. Matter of fact, that's the whole reason why it makes sense that you're a pimp. All right, this whole my dad, father figure, you're just playing a game. This is all narrative. In reality, you probably didn't give a shit. I'm actually gonna be the first one out there to just go out and call it. Right? I'm not saying he didn't obviously care about his dad. Like, obviously, there's some love there. But, like, the connection he's trying to feign right now, it doesn't sound like someone who actually had a genuine father and son relationship. And if you do the research, okay? Mama and dad are divorced. They end up in London with mama. They didn't stay in America. They were in London where they've been. There they grew up. Daddy wasn't there. Daddy may have visited, right? But they stayed with mom. That's a whole country away. Listen, I can understand if mama took the kids and they moved over to the next town, or mama took the kids and they moved her over to the next, state, right? Down the road over there, right? But mama took the kids and moved them out of the country. The fuck? If he was as broke as you say he is, all right, he's not. That back and forth trips, that's gonna start getting expensive. That's gonna start adding up real quick, bro. I'm just be real. So you're sitting there trying to feign this like glorious father-son relationship that I'm increasingly becoming more suspect never happened. Wait, chat. Okay, listen. I know I feel like I'm going too hard, but put a 1 if I'm onto something, or put a 2 if I'm going too hard. I don't know, bro. Listen, when things don't add up, I just start subtracting. This is what happens when you do research, okay? His bio and his talking, it's all out there. The fact that people are blind to this doesn't make any sense to me.
I wouldn't say he was on the spectrum, but you certainly get to a new level of socio interactions. Do you understand? I'd go to chess tournaments when I was a kid, and everybody there would be a world level chess player, and everyone was a bit strange, a little bit. I don't know if it's like that anymore. I see the chess community's now moved online. There's a lot of them playing online. And they seem a lot more normal than the grandmasters I remembered. I remembered old grandmasters, half drunk, ex-KGB, shaking at the board. Yeah, like it was a bit different back then. But yeah, I wish I had his level of intellect. He was certainly the smartest person I've ever known. And even when he died, I got endless emails from people I'd never heard of who just said, I worked with your dad, and I don't think you understand how smart he was.
He served America, yeah?
He served America. He was in the Air Force, and he was a linguist for the CIA. He joined the Air Force and ended up being a linguist for the intelligence.
What other languages did he speak?
He spoke
Your dad was in the CIA, one of the most clandestine organizations we've ever had in the history of organizations, next to the FBI. All right, so you're telling me there's a matrix after you, but your dad comes from a background where psyops was practically invented. Are we joking here? Like, your dad comes from a background where they literally formulate plans to overtake countries, whole countries. All right. And I don't see a bigger matrix than that. Your dad comes from that background, but yet people are trying to silence you. Listen, again, just none of this shit's making any sense. Charles, and shout out to you for the $5 with Super Chat. Shout out, bro. Shout out to you. Tate will say he will save his fellow mans in prison and get passed around to help their urges. Hey, listen, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah, they gonna ask him to show him that Batman. Let me stop. Listen, Ever since you reacted as because a lot of these red pill people, man, I swear to God, I think majority of them are in the closet some way, some form, bro. And the more you clown them, the more you start to realize, yeah, y'all. I don't think Andrew Tate mind his time in prison. Matter of fact, I don't know, because he came out walking different. Y'all saw that walk he did with the cigar when he was out of jail. He was like almost walking like he was limping. My first thought was, why is he limping like that? Oh my God, I can't believe that. Y'all remember that video? Y'all remember that video? It was on Twitter. He was walking around with a cigar. He was limping. I'm like, why you limping, dog? Hey, yo, I don't want to think about it. Hey, yo.
Russian, German, Spanish, and English, but officially he was supposed to speak Russian. He assimilated Russian in 2 weeks. I think he holds the Air Force record.
Okay, so he's very smart.
Yeah, super ridiculously smart. Yeah. I got an email from somebody when he died, and they said that, I just want to send you an email. You don't know who I am. I'll serve him with your father in the armed forces. You tell everybody your dad was smart, and they're not going to understand how smart he was. And I want to give you a quick story. I was living with a Russian woman, and I already spoke Russian conversationally when I began the Air Force training to learn Russian. Your father knew nothing, didn't know the alphabet, didn't know nothing. And within 2.5 weeks, he was correcting everybody, including the professor on Russian. Yeah. So like he just read the dictionary. I saw my dad sit there and read a dictionary, just read it. And that was it. Yeah. It's like photographic memory. Like
he was on a spectrum. Yeah. Something else going on.
Yeah, something else.
Little X-Men.
Emery Tate was his name, and everyone called him E.T.
Yeah. He was tough on you.
E.T. He was certainly tough on me, and I can't express enough how grateful I am for that. We live in a world now where I'm going to say that my dad hit me when I made a mistake, and everyone's going to lose their minds. And they're going to pretend I was somehow abused and that somehow my childhood was terrible. And I could not if he was come down to earth today, I would shake his hand and say, thank you for absolutely everything you gave me, including discipline.
And he'd be incredibly disappointed because you're going to jail for 10, 12 years.
Including understanding that in the harsh realities of the real world, there is a line. And if you cross that line, violence appears. That's the unfortunate reality of earth. There's a line. And if you cross it, violence will appear, either from a cop or from a guy on the street, or from someone you don't like, or even a friend will turn on you, whatever. There's a line that shouldn't be crossed. And I learned that from a very young age, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm not sitting there saying a kid should be abused. There's a difference between abuse and discipline. Of course, everyone with a brain understands that. But he was extremely tough on me. And if I could change anything about my childhood, I'd only wish he was tougher. Because life's tough. Life's hard. And
honestly, this is the one thing I actually agree with Andrew Tate for, right? He said if his dad was here, he'd probably been tougher on him. Maybe, because tough love tends to keep people out of prisons. And look where you're headed now. So apparently your dad wasn't that tough when he was alive. You had no shit, because you were in Luton. You were all the way across the country, bro. Not even the country, across the continent. Okay, you were a whole different country. Your dad was in America. He could barely go back and forth. I mean, if he was realistically, if you look at the background, his dad didn't seem like he had all that much money. All right? It didn't seem like he had that much money, bro. It seemed like daddy was not making enough to be making those back and forth trips like that. So clearly his tough love wasn't enough. All right, you needed more, because it would probably kept you out of the trouble you're in right now. And I agree with them. I actually agree with them. The problem is Andrew Tate is just trying to spin this to make it mean something else. Pain keeps people out of the penitentiary, okay? As Eddie Griffin likes to say. Shout out to Eddie Griffin.
I think that the best thing you can possibly do as a man is prepare for the endless difficulty that's going to come your way. There's no way out as a man. You're either going to have a very difficult life to become somebody important, or you're going to suffer the difficulty of being invisible. What do you want to do? You want to be invisible and just hide and work in Starbucks and never have a girlfriend who truly loves you and nobody care if you live or die? Or do you want to go out there and be top G and be the most famous man in the world and have government agencies trying to lock you up for no reason, putting you in a dungeon? You have to make a choice.
Most people will probably live and be invisible. Actually, most people would much rather be invisible. I won't say most people. The idiots want to flash, right? And guess what? It's not just you. I mean, you're not the only criminal element that wants to go visible, all right? Listen, back in the day, the mob, all right? You got the Gottis of the world. You got the Vitos and all those guys, right? So listen, they were doing all this shit so public, the rackets, all that stuff. What happened? It drew a bunch of attention from the FBI, right? They were getting investigated continuously, right? They shut down the trafficking rackets, they shut down the gambling rackets, all right? And when they were doing all these murders, they put RICO together and they started putting all these people out, all right? So what the mob learned, they said, you know what? Let's keep things hush hush, all right? You know, let's actually, it's better to make deals than murder people. We're not refraining from murdering people. Don't get me wrong, okay? They're gonna do that, but it's not gonna be as back in the heyday, all right? That's why people are still trying to question if the mob exists, okay? They realize that it's better if you're going to be a criminal, just be silent, all right? The problem is the ignorant and narcissistic criminals, all right? They will do crime and then go brag about it by rapping or brag about it by singing or brag about it by going on podcasts and telling the whole world how you moved a bunch of women, manipulated them, and made a shit ton of money off of them on YouTube and other podcasts like you. Okay, so listen, you want to be top G, that's fine. You want to convince a bunch of other idiots to be top G, that's also fine. Okay, no one cares about that. But realistically, don't sit there and generalize saying, no, listen, if most people had a choice, they would much rather go the same route that I went through, all right? And the government would definitely come after them, but they would much rather do that, right? No, you don't insinuate that. Most people are smarter than you, okay? If they're gonna do what you're doing, they're probably not gonna be as loud about it. Just being honest.
Choice. It's going to be difficult either way. So I think if you have a son and you're not preparing him for absolute difficulty, you're doing him a disservice. I think that's what has to happen as a man. And I've said this many times before, but I'm going to say it again. I don't think many people understand exactly how competitive the masculine world is. Men are constantly in competition with each other. We always have been. We used to go to war and fight and kill each other. I guess in some places we still do. Maybe that's calmed down a little bit. But in the masculine world of today, everybody is constantly competing for everything. The car that you want, other people want. The woman you want, other people want. The house you want, other people want. You're competing to have all of it. And
you're doing that. You're part of that culture. You even started the trend of where's your Bugatti. The whole reason for that is you're comparing yourself to the plebs. You're comparing yourself to your mongrel followers that want your lifestyle. So you're part of that culture. You fed into it, right? Even right now, you're feeding into it. Like, this is weird.
And how do you do that? You do that through status and money and influence and power. It's war. I don't think many women realize that when two men even meet each other for the first time, it's like an unspoken, maybe tiny bit at the back of the mind. There's a tiny analysis of, could I fight this man?
Yes.
That's real. It's super real. You go up and say, hello.
No, dummy. The reason, listen, when a man meets another man, listen, people, you don't know if they're a threat or if they're not a threat. All right, so you size them up. Everyone sizes people up. Women do that. Matter of fact, women do it a lot more than men do. I don't. This whole, oh yeah, can I, listen, maybe they want to say, oh, can I beat you up? Yeah, but that's if shit were to go south, because men, it's a different world. If we disagree with each other, sometimes it may lead to fisticuffs. So you have to know if you're a fighter or a shooter. That's pretty much the conversation now. Hey, you a fighter or a shooter? Which one are you? Right? So that's pretty much what it is. So everyone is sizing people up, but it's not just relegated to a man thing. A woman goes up to a woman, she's sizing her up, right? It's just, maybe it's not even I can beat you up kind of sense, but she's sizing her up. We're all doing that. And what happens when you meet someone who you don't know, but then if you got that person becomes your friend, I mean, you're not always constantly thinking about beating up your friend, right? That'd be kind of weird now, wouldn't it? You're like, come on.
More than a one-punch issue. That's it. Oh, he's one punch. He's one punch. He's 3 or 4. That's the reality of the masculine world, because we've evolved, if you believe in evolution, but my views are mixed, but we've evolved to be in this position where we're constantly analyzing possible threats, and we're constantly analyzing people who perhaps are on our team, or snakes, etc. And I think that not many people understand exactly how brutally competitive the masculine world is. And I think the worst thing you can do for a son is just to raise him in a bubble. My dad, I'll say here, people lose their minds. My dad used to just randomly push me over. I'd be like 3. You just not hard, but just get up, boy. Okay. And mom would be like, why are you doing that, son? He's like, you get pushed over. That's life. My mom hated that she did that to me. But yeah, I can give him nothing but praise. I'm really so thankful I had the upbringing I had.
Do you think he's proud of you?
I'm certain he's proud of me. And it's amazing how much strength I can get from that. It's amazing how much strength you can get from knowing that your ancestors looking down on you and you're doing your absolute best.
You're going to jail. I'm sorry, prison for up to 13 years. You're facing that. I don't know what father's looking down and being proud of that.
I also believe that God can be proud of you when you do your absolute best. And I don't think many people genuinely do their best in the world anymore. When I say do your best, people sit and go, oh yeah, okay. No, when's the last time you actually did your best?
Let's pay attention to this for just 1 second. When I tell people to do your best, right? They say do your best. When is the actual time you did your best? Does that sound profound to you? Honestly, do your best. You know what that's the equivalent of? A just do it, like Nike. That's basically it. Just do it. What does that mean? I don't know. Just go do it. To do your best. What does that mean? I don't know. Do your best. What are you doing right now? I don't know. That's not your best. Do it. That's so like you think you're saying something profound, but you're not. I don't know why a bunch of you losers are getting turned up by some basic ass knowledge. Do your best. All right. Some guy can come out here, flash some cash, flash a few Bugattis, and all they gotta say is do your best. And all of a sudden, y'all are just creaming in your pants. This makes no freaking sense, bro. Even his motivational talk is basic. It's all basic. He's not saying anything new. How is this? Yo, like every time I listen to this guy, I just think, I'm like, what kind of idiot falls to this crap? Like, this is not even deep. None of this shit is deep. When I say do your best, all right, are you doing your best? No, you're not doing your best, because you're not doing it according to my definition of do your best. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, shut the fuck up.
Like, I don't train to run marathons, but I know if I gave my best, I could run a marathon right now, first try. If I gave my best, life depending on it. When's the last time people have genuinely given their best to anything? There are people going through the world and going through life today that don't give their best or 100% effort to anything ever. They can't remember the last time they tried. So when I'm sitting in a dungeon, I'm sitting in a Romanian jail cell, I understand that it is a chance that God has given me and my ancestors are watching for me to do my absolute best and to show to them that I am the man I say I am. You can't become...
Again, this is just basic shit. Do your best. When I was in jail, all right, that's the only thing I can think about was just do my best. Listen, I know niggas who've done time, okay, and they come out with better prison motivational stories than what you're doing right now. I'm gonna tell you that. Okay, they can go deep on the emotion they felt, how lonely it was and how crazy it was and how they found their faith and things like that. Okay, they would go deep into this, all right? If you ask a guy that just got done doing 7 years, right, they come out, all right, and they say, hey, man, what was the thing that kept you going? What was the thing that kept you motivated? I'm sure the last thing they're going to say is, well, I wanted God to know I did my best. You know what I'm saying? It's when you put it into context, his motivational shit is just basic. All right, like listen, you would think that that experience, 17 months in the can. All right, you would not 17 months in the can. Well, however months he spent in the can and house arrest. All right, or investigation. That wasn't even 17 months. Where'd I get that from? Holy shit! Hold up, the number 17 is just stuck in my head for some reason. Chat. I don't know why, but he spent all that months in the can. All right, and the best thing that advice you could give is, well, the Lord told me I got to do my best. The fuck does that mean? Like, there are dudes falling for this shit. That's how I know a bunch of men are fucking brain rotten. All right, y'all don't know. You think this is motivating? This shit is motivating, my guy? Y'all are dumb.
I'm the most famous man in the world for mental resilience, and God not test your mental resilience. I think that would be a very amateur way to view the world, that you can now become one of the most famous men in the world who talks about mental discipline and mental resilience, and God's not going to test it. I think God's going to come along and say, okay, you want to be Mr. Famous. All right, let's see what you have. So I believed it was a chance to show God and show my ancestors and show my father that I am the man I say I am. And it's amazing how much strength you can draw from that, because I don't think many men especially understand that even if you don't have the strength to be a hero for yourself, you should have enough discipline and enough honor to want to be a hero for somebody else. And if you have other people you truly respect, you should want to be a hero for them. And I think that's the masculine imperative. If someone's going to attack your wife, that's when you become a hero for her. You have to. What kind of man are you if you're not? And you're going to...
Hey, the mini version of you, Sneeko, he couldn't even stand by his girlfriend when the shit hit the fan that they were dating. It seems to me that y'all just talk about this family and protection and providing bullshit, but when it comes down to you want to talk about provider, all of your wealth got stripped from you. How are your family gonna provide when you're spending 10 years in the can, possibly? That providing shit is gone. You're not even married to her, so she's gonna be a single mother, and you're gonna be in the can. Your wealth is already gone. The government has it. You're not providing and protecting shit from jail. All right, so you're preaching all these messages that you yourself, in a few months, you're probably not gonna be able to live up to. You're like, what is this? Like, what is this, chat? Like, what are we doing? Like, honestly, what are we doing? Dev, shout out to you for $5 with chat. Dev said his dad was an ish. He spent more time doing whatever he wanted while his mother was the sole provider. She had to move him back to London for aid. Yeah, I could actually, with the way Andrew turned out, I could probably envision his dad had a bigger ego. Like, I don't think they're like the way it is. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I'm not gonna, speak whatever. I'm not gonna speak on it like that. But like, I can just have my estimations that he's not as great as everyone he's making it seem. Right? He can't even tell stories of how his dad helped him when he was a teenager, things like that. His dad wasn't around most of the time. His dad, listen, I don't play. Listen, I'm divorced from my ex right now, and if she try to move anywhere where I do not approve or I don't appreciate, I am taking her ass to court. I don't play. Especially when it comes to my kid. I don't play. First of all, I get married to the women I knock up. And second of all, I care about my kid so deeply, I will drag my wife back to court and say, you can't move more than X amount of distance, otherwise it's going to be a problem. That's what happens, all right? Your dad didn't do that. The moment y'all divorced, she went to Luton, he didn't contest it. He didn't move hell and mountains to keep you close. Because I know those are my kids. Nah, where you going? Hell nah. What? If you can move over there, you're not taking my kid. What? Like, are you kidding me? Hell no. His dad didn't care. His daddy didn't care. What are we talking about, bro?
Apply that to other things. If you apply that to your ancestors, or you apply that to God, or you apply that to your beliefs or your core principles as a man, then you can be a hero anytime you want. So
it's so funny that you say that, because it really does. Everything goes back to biology. I think about this all the time. No matter how much sociology is behind everything, telling men to act like women and women to act like men. At the end of the day, women want a masculine man, and when they don't have a masculine man and they beat their man into submission, they're not attracted to them anymore. And it's a tail in between. Yep. It's just not attractive anymore. And I used to maybe think of this boyfriend that I had when you were talking about, just defending the realm, this sort of responsibility that men have. And I remember sitting there realizing that I had to break up with him, because I thought that if somebody burst through the door with a gun, I was going to have to be the one that would have to defend us, because he was just such a flower.
100%.
And it's in society is yet blaring at men to do the opposite. And
they're trying to confuse us.
This is why I think you have a platform. This is my whole theory that I built in my head about why you have a platform, is because Lena Dunham came before you, right? And I think that for years, men were told to act like sissies. Yep. Men were told to put your tail between your legs. That was the message, the agreed upon message that came with, Hillary Clinton running, the Me Too, all of these things where men were basically told that if you have a masculine instinct, you're guilty. Yep. And then inevitably, because there is an equilibrium in this world, because there was Lena Dunham's, because there were the Taylor Swifts, because there was the girl squads, eventually what would have to happen was that it was going to have to be evened out by someone saying, no, F that, be a man.
Yeah. And
so actually, Candace is not wrong there, right? Because there's no denying that PC culture kind of ruined a lot of things right now. We saw from the start. Hey, South Park predicted this, by the way. There was a South Park episode I was watching, and it was strangely accurate when they were predicting like the PC culture and the PC principle, dude. I was thinking like, yo, this is strangely making a whole lot of sense. PC culture comes and goes, right? So she's not wrong. Okay, there was also overabundance of people, trying to change society so fast that obviously the pendulum is now swinging, right? That's what it is. We're hitting that now. But what the problem is, we went from one extreme and we're slowly going to the other, and that's not what we want. Okay, we honestly should have had more rational voices out there to speak up, to hold that pendulum in the middle so we can have rational discourse. But unfortunately, that wasn't able to happen because some lefties got in their fifis, a bunch of right people got in their fifis, and now they're trying to do what they can to get the pendulum that way by going on these insane tirades on conspiracies. And I mean, the main thing right now is these COVID, right? They're all they're trying to lie about the vaccines and this and that. Hey, Tucker Carlson, you took the jab, bro. Don't lie, Tucker Carlson. Y'all hear Tucker Carlson going around, man? I didn't take the jab. Wait, you were on Fox News saying that everybody in the studio got to go ahead and take the jab before it even worked in there. You're part of that. It's like, you're lying, bro. Like, Tucker, you took the jab. But it's okay to grift right now because, being anti-COVID is the new rite of passage into the mainstream conservative. Matter of fact, it's the first part to the deep rabbit hole of the conspiracy theories these go down to. All right. And at the bottom of the pit, you got Nick Fuentes. That's when you get to the point you hit Nick Fuentes, you dug too far. you turn back, or it is. Shane, shout out to you. Says real men built together. That's how society evolves. Facts. No, you're absolutely right. Be too cool. Shout out to for the $5 super chat. He says it seems like he took that do your best advice in trafficking, and he sure did. He said, "Look at me, Dad. I'm doing my best." You know what? He should have instead of selling the free t-shirts, he should do the do your best t-shirt, right? Like Nike, the just do it, right? He should have his own version of that, but it should just say do your best. What does that mean? I don't know, but it's vague. Is it getting to you? That's what I'm saying, bro. His little sayings and inspirational, motivational bullshit is all basic shit. Hey, young man, what does do your best mean? Well, it just means do my best. But what does that mean? Honestly, what does that mean? I don't know. Because you could be doing your best where you are in life right now, but to Andrew Tate, that's not good enough. So what is his best? We don't know. Well, it's up in the air, right? But do your best, right? Just like Nike. Just do it, right? Do what? I don't know. Just do it. Can I rob a bank? Yeah, just do it. Go ahead. Go do it. Just do it. Hey, Kendra, shout out to you for the $10 super chat. Taylor says, I'm wondering how betrayed his friends will feel if court finds them guilty. Will they double down or disavow? Will people respect their choices once rendered? No, I think there's going to be a majority of people. At first, here's what's going to happen, all right? You can call me Nostradamus because I'm going to predict this shit right now. What's going to happen is initially, maybe for the first year or two, right, you're going to have an overwhelming amount of people. They're going to be like, no, this is still a fabrication. He's not guilty. This is crazy, right? They finally got him. Free Tate, right? You're going to have those diehards. But what's going to end up happening over time, because the evidence is going to be leaked and everything's going to be put into such context that over time, a lot of these guys, even as they grow up, they're not going to see it now, but as they grow up and Tate's influence is not going to be there because he's in prison, it's going to start, people are going to start saying, oh, you know what? That was kind of scummy. Because those videos on the internet are going to stay. They're going to be forever. And then you start comparing those videos to the real evidence that they booked you with. Over time, they're going to start changing their minds, right? It's like Obama, right? At first, hey, Obama, yes, we can do it. And then over time, then we start realizing Obama wasn't that different from a lot of these Republicans. Matter of fact, a lot of his policies were all Reagan's. They're just, reinventing. A lot of these Democrats, they're just doing Reagan's policies. That's just what it is. But the Overton window has been shifted so far that a lot of the times people see his policies as liberal, which I don't think. This guy was the drone in chief, all right? He deported more, bruh. Like, I don't get this. Like, but now people are starting to see it because they're seeing the facts of Obama's records. They're saying, oh, okay, maybe Obama wasn't as great as we all thought. But he's still, that's the kind of the feeling that people have about Obama right now. That's going to be taken a few years. That's just the best way I can explain it. a lady, shout out to you for the $3 super chat. She says, liars prosper on the right. Candace Owens' career will soar. Facts. Beats Cool, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. He says, I wouldn't be surprised if Candace literally sucked off Tasty to even get this pathetic interview. She was doing that. I was calling it out. I was calling it out all the time when she was doing all these fluff pieces. Like, oh my God, I don't see why they're, because she was doing all these reaction videos about Andrew Tate, right? Yeah, I don't see why he's guilty. Like, the people are just reacting. All of a sudden now, she got the interview with Tate. She got what she wanted, bro. It is what it is. Like, we got her. So here's what happened. So Candace, after that pathetic interview, right? Because I'm not going to play too much of that. It gets crazy. We got more to play, right? She rightfully so, got the backlash for it, right? And people were like, yo, Candace, you're supposed to be a Christian, but you're platforming this bozo. Like, now we got to question your integrity. And yes, the backlash is only growing. The bigger that video gets, the more people are going to see this scammer for who she is, this fraudster for who she really is. She's not a conservative. She's a grifter. That's just all it is, right? So she does this video pretty much explaining the reason why she interviewed Tate.
With Vladimir Putin today, because I'm curious, because I don't accept the main. So now you have a man that stands up and says, you can work out, you can men and making them feel badly. So now you have a man that stands up and says, you can work out, you can start a business, you can be strong. We don't have to listen to these kinds of women. And men are having not just a psychological, but a biological response to that. Saying, yes, I knew that I could be more. I knew that everything that I'm hearing from the mainstream media isn't right. So again, rather than judging those men, maybe it is our job as women to try to understand why it is that Andrew Tate has a platform. In closing, what I will say to you guys is this. LOL to anybody who thinks that they can tell me who I can sit down with and speak to. I am the same woman who once tweeted that I would like to sit down with Vladimir Putin, and I still would like to sit down with Vladimir Putin today, because I'm curious, because I don't accept the mainstream media as it is, and as it tells me the narrative is what we're supposed to believe about certain individuals. And so, yes, I believe if a lot of
fucking Candace Owens, bro.
people were alive today, I probably would have sat down with them. People that we are told are horrible, backwards people. Again, I'm just a curious individual, and I will remain curious, and I'm proud of the sit down that I had with Andrew Tate.
Listen to her. Candace Owens, bro. She lies so much, she can't even keep her lies straight. She can't even keep her lies straight anymore, bro. Like, are you serious? Listen, Candace, listen. People don't care if you interview Vladimir Putin, okay? People don't care if you interview Tate, all right? Matter of fact, we want more people interviewing these guys, okay? But we want those interviewers to be able to be asking those questions that need to be asked, okay? So you like to challenge people. You didn't do any of that. You like to criticize Cardi B and how they're degenerates of culture. You sat down in front of a trafficker and you did none of the sort. That's the problem people have with you. It's not that you sat down with these people and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like everyone has a problem because they don't want me to talk to any of this guy or talk to that guy. You're missing the point. Matter of fact, this is the same argument that Pearl does. I see where she gets this shit from. But no, it's not what it is. We don't care who you sit down and interview, but we want to make sure that you, who is educating a base of over 1 million+ people, all right, at least have the wherewithal to do your damn research and know who you're sitting in front of, so you're not lying to your audience, okay? You're not deceiving them, because that's what you're doing, all right? I mean, look, he's sitting there lying. Oh yeah, listen, I'm proud of my interview. I see. I'm still the same girl that said I would interview Vladimir Putin. I will interview Vladimir Putin. Oh my God, dog. Listen, Candace, stop. Stop it. Stop. This is too much. This is too much. Okay, we don't care. We don't care about who you interview. You can platform whatever the fuck you want. All right, you're just not doing your job. Matter of fact, look how you treated the whole Steven Crowder situation.
Before we get to it, I just want to back up and tell you why we are discussing this breaking news, because it's occurred to me that there are some people out there who believe that to be a conservative, what it means is that we become tribal and we defend other conservatives even when they do things that are wrong, that we don't discuss things that are horrible on our own side because we need to just make sure that we score wins in other ways, and that is wrong. So that to me is the exact opposite of why I have this platform. I am not tribal. I want to expose things when they are bad on the left, and I will also expose things when they are bad on the right.
She's lying so much her eyes are practically falling off her head. Listen. Stop it. We know. But let's continue. I just couldn't help myself, chat. I couldn't.
Obviously, I have been interested in the Steven Crowder saga pertaining to his divorce because he literally inserted me into his divorce a couple of days ago. And his wife and family are now speaking out regarding that video in which he told people publicly that his wife was leaving him. You remember this. He chose wrong. And he essentially made it sound as if he did not want his marriage to end, but his wife simply wanted to leave. Well, she has responded by giving video, and I want to prep you. I want you to know this is horrific video. It is very difficult to watch. It's especially difficult to watch because in this footage, she is 8 months pregnant. And the video essentially reveals just how emotionally abusive he has been. And she is alleging that he has been emotionally abusive to her. And this video all but confirms it. So let's first get to the footage. I'm just going to allow you to watch it in its entirety.
I'm going to skip that. It's not relevant.
End
See
quote.
what she says.
Which led his wife to flee their home. She then sent a statement, which I want to be very clear. This statement I knew was going to come out. I didn't know any of this information. I had no idea there was a video or there was any evidence. I did know that their family was thinking about issuing a statement, and Hillary Crowder did issue a statement. And I'm going to read you that statement in its entirety because it's important. I think it reveals a lot of the lies that Steven has been telling publicly to his audiences.
Oh, okay.
It reads, Hillary is currently living alone in Dallas, apart from her family and support system in Michigan, and is focused on taking care of her young children. She is not prepared at this time to speak about her divorce becoming public or the misleading statements made by Steven about their relationship. The truth is that Hillary spent years hiding Steven's mentally and emotionally abusive behavior from her friends.
Okay, so far we got the video, we got the statements. Let's get to the conclusion. Hold up.
Relationships with Sir Shapiro, Boring, and others at the Daily Wire when he posted all of these various different parties, the majority of them who have never spoken to each other. I've never spoken to the computer. I've never spoken to David Landau. I've never spoken to Hillary Crowder. I've never spoken to Owen Benjamin. Care about this situation, and you should condemn it. Yashar Ali also, I sent the cease and desist. I heard back from his lawyer, and essentially what I get from this is that his lawyer is saying that this was just his opinion and it was just Steven Crowder's feelings. And even though it wasn't reality, too bad, so sad. Here's exactly what that legal letter back to me said. I'm going to read you a couple of quotations. The word threat, they're similar to the exact clip that he showed you of me. Nothing else happened. He just wanted you guys to think that he was under duress in some other capacity. In short, as I have said, I believe Steven Crowder is an absolute monster, and I encourage all of the other people that he has victimized to find their strength to speak out now. By the way, his lawyer offered to me that we could both agree to a ceasefire if I agreed that I would never speak about Steven Crowder again. And to him, I would publicly like to say, your client doesn't have that kind of money to keep Candace Owens from speaking out about things that I find to be absolutely despicable. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Wow, such strong words based off of one video that the ex-wife sent you and a bunch of other text messages back and forth, right? Meanwhile, the guy you just got done sitting down with, who has numerous videos and numerous evidence against him from phone records, banks, they got accounts, they got everything. You're saying he's a good guy, he's innocent. Meanwhile, Steven Crowder, one video, a couple things out there, he's a monster. He's a deplorable human being. I think the real deplorable one here is you, Candace. Honestly, we're just being real. You're pretty freaking deplorable. You're just the absolute worst. And what you only just proved in this entire shit show you call an interview or journalism, you just proved that the right is guilty of what they've been blaming the left. Matter of fact, you proved that you're just the opposite side of the coin to those guys. Okay, you guys now have your own propaganda field, and you will cape for your boys. And if someone is threatening that supremacy, you couse them out. All right, that's all it is. You bring the people who are only thinking about groupthink into your circles while casting everyone out. So So that means the right stays with their conspiracy and the left stays with their own conspiracy or whatever they believe or whatever. I'm not involved in that. All right, whatever the duality is, no matter what, you guys are contributing to the brain rot of society, and I find that behavior to be deplorable. Candace Owens, you just proved that you're not you just proved that you're a grifter, bro. I don't know what to tell you. You're proving to us every single day that you're a hypocritical grifter, and you're just using this to make money. And it works for you, all right? It works for you, just like you're doing this Tate interview because that's the most views you've had in what almost a year. Like Jesus Christ! Like I mean, come on, we see the motivations there. It's clear as day. Honestly, chat, I think what this is telling us is as we get closer to trial, as we get closer to all the scenario that's going on right now, you know, these guys are going to be painting themselves in a corner, right? Because what's going to happen is the more these conservative rights start doing this stuff with Tate, when Trump gets in, and you know the left-wing media is going to do their darndest to, you know, be on that Trump news all day, right? I don't know. I'm just speculating that Trump might win, right? Because he's pretty popular right now, and he's going through investigation. So I don't know what's going on with that. But listen, when they start criticizing you, Candace Owens, you best believe they are gonna bring this shit up. They're going to say, how can Candace Owens go on Fox News and defend Trump and defend the allegations, but meanwhile, she's doing a fluff piece interview with a guy who just got convicted of trafficking and raping women? Does the right wing support human trafficking, right? Because listen, one of the big issues right now is that movie that came out, right? Y'all, what's that? I forgot that. The Sounds of Freedom, right? Is that what it is? Sounds of Freedom or whatever it is. That Sounds of Freedom that the right's freaking over about because, oh, the Matrix don't want us to see this movie, right? What happens when they start looking at Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and they start saying, hey, man, this Tate guy just got convicted. He's doing 13 years for rape and trafficking using the lover boy method, similar to what's going on in the Sound of Freedom nonsense, huh? What does that make you guys? Then what are you guys going to do? You guys are going to be painted in a corner. And what's going to end up happening is it's just going to end up furthering that divide, right? Because that's just essentially what it is. Where people are going to say, well, I'm not going to listen to you because y'all platforming traffickers. We don't want that. Nah, we're better than you because we're going to spread our own propaganda over there. Guys, listen, this is getting crazy. Chris Kozar, shout out to you for the $5 super chat. Chris Kozar says, I'll make t-shirts that say do your best with a Tate hand symbol next to it. Bruh, you're going to make millions. Guaranteed. Because listen, if there are going to be a lot of third-party people making money off of Tate's name, why not? That's a good business idea, right? Hey, get a t-shirt, do the symbol like the, what is it? Is it this? What is a Tate symbol? I don't know what the fuck the symbol is, right? Get something that do your best thing, all right? You're going to make a ton of money because do not underestimate the power right now that these tater tots have, okay? They want to do everything Andrew Tate. And if you can make your store seem like it comes from Andrew Tate, you're going to be a millionaire. Guaranteed you're going to be a millionaire, guys. Listen, that's all I have for you today, guys. I told you this was going to be a long show. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, we really heard what came out of Candace Owens' mouth, and it was absolutely horrendous. But, chat, let me know what you think, right? Does this interview solidify Candace Owens as a grifter, or does this interview highlight the journalism, the excellent journalistic ethics that the media should be representing right now, right? So you know I like my ones and twos. Y'all let me know in the chat, okay? Put a 1 if if this proves that she's a grifter. Put a 2 in the chat if this proves that Candace Owens is a great journalist of our time and probably one of the free speech advocates and you know, journalists that we should all be looking up to. All right, y'all let me know, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next show. Peace.